Actually, hold on 1 second. We're not live yet, are we? Are we live? I was just going to tweet out the show. All right, we're bare bones this week, guys. No Justin. Who'd have thought that... Oh. What's happening now? Why do I hear myself? We're live now? All right. Tweeting out the show here. Who would have thought Justin actually has an impact? He actually knows what he's doing when he does this thing. Mike and the Minifans back from Miami. You know, it is nice, I got to say, while I softened on Miami towards the end, I enjoyed being there, but I will say it's nice to have a shower that goes over 60 degrees. It is nice to be back bathing in hot water again, back in civilization. But we had a great week in Miami. We'll get to all of that shit pretty soon. We've got a hell of a lineup. Tim from Canton, who is doing a big investigation. We've got Travis, Madawaska guy, a few of the regulars, all that. But first, I want to tell you about my good friends at Peak Image Med Spa, peakimagemedspa.com. And you can check out their Instagram, which I'll tell you about in a second as well. Peakimagemedspa.com is the place you can get. Are you tired of angling to take pictures? Are you a fat fuck that grows a beard to cover that double chin? I hear people do things like that. Well, problems no more, my friends, because Peak Image Med Spa in Kenmore Square in Boston and at the Split in Braintree, Massachusetts will suck that fat right out of your neck. They've got plenty of other procedures as well, including Botox. But the one we want to tell you about now, a couple quick injections. No surgery, none of that bullshit. You don't have to go through any of the hassle of working out and trying to suck that fat out of your neck that way. A couple quick injections. No more of that double chin. They smooth it up for you. On Instagram, you can see some of their success stories at Peak Image Med Spa. And you can go there for testimonials, before and after pictures, all that kind of shit. PeakImageMedSpa.com. Here's the important thing. You listen to Mike and the Minifans and you think, what's the point of this? I'm listening to a disabled man ramble at these poor people that have to listen to him for 2 hours. Why am I doing this? Well, you do it to save things like Peak Image Med Spa. You can save $50, 50 clams, 50 simoleons. You get a nice deal if you mention that you listen to Mike and the Minifans when you call them up. Like I said, Kenmore Square in Boston, Massachusetts, Braintree, Mass, at the Split as well. And you can give them a call at, what is the number, my good man? 781-261-6122. Awesome. So give them a call. Check them out, peakimagemedspa.com. If you want to be looking fucking fantastic, and mention Mike and the Minifans to save that deal. All right. The boys are all here with me. It is Matt from Providence, Matt Corrado, who will be making his production debut on the... I guess we'll be housing Steve Robinson. Is that correct, Travis?
Yes, he is staying here with me. There's been a little bit of confusion from Steve on that end.
Now, Travis, I got to ask. You're a real person, and Steve will be staying with you. This is true.
Don't worry.
Okay, all right.
I'm just. Well, it's true. There's some clever ruse, but the other answer to that question is yes, I am scared.
As you should be. Matt from Providence did some excellent digging. We found out that Steve, yet again, is a liar. Bizarre lie about having to stay in a house with a guy named Elias. Apparently none of it was true. There were song parodies written about it, for Christ's sake, and it was all a clever ruse.
I wrote one.
You certainly did. Yeah. Do you feel used, Matt?
A little bit used. But actually, you know what? I feel that song touched me in very specific ways. It's sort of an emotional song for me. So it ended up being really well worth it, honestly.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, that's good. Matt from Providence, why? You were telling me you went to great lengths to find out where Steve was actually staying. How did you do that?
So his picture of the chickens, there was a bus stop behind the chickens, and on a sign there was a 211. So I found the Miami 211 bus route, and I went on Google Maps and I took a stroll around and on the bus route until I found that supermarket and hit Airbnb. Narrowed my search to that area, and lo and behold, $39 a night. Christoph is the host, right there on the bus route. It was too perfect.
Now that is some solid detective work, I gotta say. were there any reports of Steve being hassled after you found him? I can't imagine, because he was still there till today, I think.
I never heard anything, and you went looking for him. I don't think you ever found him, did you?
I was knocking on doors all over the place, but I did not find him. But
too busy
what was he
dodging knife or scissor wielding armless people.
I guess you can be afraid of that, but I don't think that guy listens to the show, to be fair.
That's true.
But you know what, Mike? He knew Steve was watching your live stream, knew you were looking for him, and he didn't even have the decency after you quit the live stream to be like, "Oh, hey, I'm over here. Like, come say what's up for 10 minutes."
He's a real son of a bitch. I was knocking on doors all over Miami. I went through almost the whole goddamn town, and I couldn't find it.
That Italian woman was very nice.
She was very nice. A few of the people downstairs, not so nice, but that Italian lady was very nice. Her son didn't seem to care for me.
Yeah.
But that's what you get when you're looking for the truth. That's what you're going to get, Matt, as you know. I don't know. What did you guys think about the trip from Miami? It started off weird, and then I think it ended well. I think other than Steve, we all kind of left there on a positive note, it seemed like. But what did you guys as listeners think from the beginning with all the weird Portnoy stuff to the end with Kirk making up with Willie?
That was the big takeaway. The big takeaway for me was actually how you have permanent residence in Portnoy's head. Like, there's a 2-minute conversation video that I saw between him and Kirk. I think it was released towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And for the 2 minutes, he's intently asking what you are planning to do and making Kirk agree to tell him first before you do anything. That's crazy that a guy who just made $50 million is worried
thinking about me at all. Yeah.
And it's not like you've done something in the past to warrant such a reaction from him. I mean, you've done your fair share, like small things, but nothing that's blown up to a national scale that could ever like jeopardize something like that. You know what I mean? $450 million on the line. Blind Mike's not getting in the way.
Yeah. What's that, Travis?
This clears up, though, that Portnoy never, ever listens to the show. Because if you're going to be scared of somebody on this show, it's Robinson you should be scared of. If Steve wanted to take the whole thing down, that's where it's at.
But yeah, that's
Robinson might kill people.
I got to say, though, in Portnoy's defense, I guess, I understood it on Wednesday morning. I understood it a lot more than I did on Tuesday morning.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I get now I get why he didn't want me doing, making a scene at Radio Row or whatever. I will say I don't get why I couldn't do the drag night thing. Maybe that wouldn't have even been funny, but why does he give a fuck? If we have an unfunny YouTube video, I do one every Saturday night from 7 to 9.
I don't know, but
what's his problem?
It's no wonder that he hates you, though, if he can't stop thinking about you. Like, if you're that much in the presence of his mind, no wonder he feels that way towards you.
The best part of that video you were talking about is Kirk changed the subject. He goes,
he did.
Can I do something? And he goes, I don't want Blind Mike to. And it's like,
right.
Forget about him for a second, please. Yeah. I'm trying to ask you a question.
And even the moment you pointed out when he was on Barstool Radio and Kirk kind of looked over his shoulder quick and Portnoy kind of jolted up and he was like, I thought you were looking for Blind Mike. I thought Blind Mike was here. It's like, dude, do your show. What's Mike going to do?
In that video Matthew was referencing, there's the second half where he's talking to KFC, looks like out on where they were doing Barstool Radio or whatever.
Yeah.
He says, we need extra security here so Blind Mike doesn't ruin Barstool Radio. What am I going to do? First of all, even if I start yelling shit, does Portnoy not think he has the ability to verbally trash me? You know what I mean? Like, I think he could put me in my place pretty quickly. He's done it before.
Dude, you have so much power, you should be negotiating a raise right the fuck now. That's the thing. Pay me double my salary or I'm going to bring this whole shit down.
I know. Listen, I will ruin this Penn National. Penn National won't exist tomorrow if I'm not getting a raise. Exactly. This is bullshit. But I do have to say, I get it. I understand. If you're about to make $100 million or whatever it is, I completely get it. But I do think it's overall a good. We kind of had the debate: is it a bad thing for the show? Is it a good thing? I think it's kind of a neutral thing when you consider it's not like they were bought by Viacom or NBC or some liberal outlet. It's a casino, a gaming company. So, when you're involved in when your main sources of income are gambling and alcohol, I don't think you're looking for a G-rated product. Does that make sense?
That's true.
Yeah, but I think you would probably want a gambling related product, which I don't think you guys offer
No,
in any way.
but I think there's something too. I bet, there's a hefty chunk of the Kirk Minahan show audience that does gamble. So if we say, hey, go to a Penn National Casino or use the Barstool Sports gambling app, then there's some people that are going to check it out. So
Now,
I think it's a heavy, young male demo on the Kirk Minahan show, which is good for Penn National.
And you guys already had the gambling sponsor earlier this year during the football season. Like, do you ever get any feedback from them, like what they kind of see from you guys use like the codes and whatnot? Do you guys ever kind of get an idea of how well they do?
Yeah. So that would be more a question for Steve. They were very cool with us all year. I know I was involved with them, but more from doing the ad read and the social media aspect of it. But that would be more a question for Steve. I would say the one difference with them is they were a free app where you sign up for advice as opposed to an actual gaming app where you're placing bets like, you're
attaching it to your bank account, all that shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's harder to say.
I'm sure Penn National Gaming didn't buy Barstool for Kirk's podcast. However, Kirk has a huge main audience.
Yes.
And Penn National Gaming has a huge casino in Bangor.
Interesting.
Oh, you mean actually in Maine? Yeah.
Oh, in Bangor, Maine. Right downtown. They have a really nice casino.
Yeah. And I mean, they're gonna be expanding all over, and Kirk's audience is expanding all over. But I think the big thing is they're bringing in, or Kirk brings in an audience that is young men. And who gambles and goes to casinos and goes out and drinks and all that shit is young men. So I think it's a good thing to have the Kirk Minahan show around. Now, if the Aaron Andrews story happens, or something, I'm trying to think of another controversy that might scare them away, then that'll be interesting to see how they react to something like that. But so far, there hasn't been anything like that.
One thing that brings up for me, and correct me if I read this wrong, but it seemed like what you guys were saying on the show, I don't remember which one it was, yesterday or the day before or something, but that you could perhaps, so the blog is the main issue. If you do something that they don't want to do, they might not promote it or whatever. But it seemed like you guys are willing to, and maybe you have the permission to, actually post stuff on your own property if Barstool won't do it. Is that the case? Like if you've got a story you're into, like the Trenny story or whatever that they won't post, are you now able to post that on your own assets, on your own website?
I don't know that. I assume that will require a conversation between Kirk and Erica, if that hasn't happened already. It almost seems to me like, why not? If we're doing stuff outside of what Barstool wants. But here's the thing. You heard Casey Smith on Friday, and you hear this a lot, where Casey Smith was like, yeah, I thought about maybe doing sideline reporting for Fox or whoever it was. And Dave said no. And you heard Clancy when we were talking about WFAN. He goes, Dave would never allow it. There's a thing where when you're working for Barstool, Dave wants you exclusively working for Barstool. I think there have been some exceptions like Pat McAfee, but I don't know if Dave would have a problem with that. But I feel like if you're going to be doing stuff that he doesn't want associated with Barstool, it might be a good thing that you're doing it on your own website. I don't know.
But you wouldn't be doing it for another company. That's the thing. And you'd just be growing your own brand, which helps them anyway. If you're doing it on your own asset, you're speaking to your own fans. So I think that helps Barstool. There's plausible deniability for them saying, well, we didn't allow them to do that on our own assets, like on our own thing.
Yeah, you're right. I would think
Penn National must have known what they were getting into.
Yeah.
And knowing some Barstool content. I mean, it can't get a whole lot crazier than like Call Her Daddy or what Portnoy does on a regular basis.
That's true too. And Call Her, I mean, obviously I would think selfishly about the show that I'm on. Kirk does the same. Steve would do the same. But that's a good point. You bring up Call Her Daddy. That's not a gambling show even remotely.
And it's explicit as hell.
But I think they're going to be completely fine because of the numbers they do. So I think if this show keeps putting up great numbers and growing, but a lot of people forget when they, like, Kirk mentions, the numbers being good. I always like to point out that the show's been on for 8 months? Yeah. That for a podcast in its first 8 months, I think the numbers are phenomenal. So that's the thing is, like, if the numbers keep growing, Penn National's going to look and say, I don't give a fuck if they talk about, Madawaska ice fishing or an adventure to Iowa or wherever the fuck we're going. As long as they're making money, who gives a shit?
Hey, Mike, I don't know if you saw it this weekend. Did Barstool pick up that Bustin' with the Boys podcast? Did you see that? It's
No,
two
not
NFL
familiar.
players, Taylor Lewan and Mike Compton. I saw a post on Barstool Facebook saying that they signed with Barstool. And I'm just curious how it's going to work having NFL players technically employed by a gaming company. Could that not be an issue?
Current NFL players?
Yeah, Taylor Lewan from the Titans.
That is odd. It's a good question. I don't know. But I think you see with the Raiders moving to Vegas and that kind of shit. And I mean, FanDuel and DraftKings and all the fantasy football stuff, you kind of see sports in general, particularly the NFL, kind of quietly accepting the idea of gambling. Definitely. So maybe they don't like their players associated with a brand like Barstool. That would be, I would think, would be the first thing on their mind with how much Goodell hates them. But that's a good question. I don't know. It might be a weird thing, but I think they're not talking gambling on the show. I think your average listener might not even know what Penn National. Like if someone's just listening to that show, they don't know who the fuck Penn National is unless there's advertising on the show that says it. That's an interesting question. I'm not sure.
Issue, though. I don't think the listeners are going to be the ones that complain about it. Be some sort of gaming regulatory commission or the NFL freaking out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's going to be where the problem's going to come in.
It is interesting, and especially being associated with Barstool. If they were doing a podcast for iHeartRadio or whatever, it probably wouldn't be an issue. But if Goodell sees Dave Portnoy's name attached to something, there's probably going to be an overreaction. So I guess that's something to look into. I think the NFL should be more offended that Jim Florentine has a podcast.
Yes.
Has it gotten any better?
He's got to have like 10 downloads. Who would ever? I can like make myself an entire meal in his spaces between saying shit. It's crazy.
He's a little, and I like Jim Florentine as a guy. From what I don't know the man, but he seems like a nice guy and a funny enough guy. I think his podcast is brutal to listen to. But here's a little tip for you folks. Something that's kind of fun. So we got a false tip that Jim Florentine clapped back at Kirk. So I had to dig for it. I went through the latest episode, and I kind of just did skip ahead. I couldn't find anything of him talking about Kirk. So if you do find it, send it to me, anyone. But what I did find is that it's kind of fun to listen to every 30 seconds. Like if you just keep hitting the 30-second ahead button, it's fun to hear what he's talking about. Like all of a sudden it'll just be really, and then you go 30 seconds ahead. I mean, come on, 30 seconds ahead. It's just the same shit over and over every 30 seconds.
You miss all the substance.
Yes, you do. You miss all the good stuff, man. And that's what I'm really concerned about. So what do people think? Are we cool with Barstool? I'm just talking about Minifans. Are we cool with Barstool? Is there still fuck Portnoy? Is there still this everyone wants Kirk to leave and do a subscription service? Where do we stand now that we kind of know what the deal is? Especially
I'm very happy with all the new friendships and whatnot. I mean, it's still fuck K Marco and fuck Hank, but everyone else seems to be cool. I mean, Kirk said himself that he wants this to be the biggest podcast in the world now. So I think some of these friendships are a stepping stone getting to that point. I mean, you gotta have friendships in the business to be able to kind of grow your product. And that's exactly the position Kirk put you guys into this week.
Yeah, I would agree. Matt, what do you think?
I think they're kind of irrelevant. And to your podcast, they provide content because you can listen to their content and respond to it, or there might be battles and things. But in terms of promotion, they give you none, and they don't support you when there's free speech issues or you're calling stuff out, your investigative things. So I think you would do as well numbers wise with them or without them. So I find them irrelevant. I find what they are is irrelevant.
I think that promotion is going to change after this week. Kirk took over Barstool this week.
He did.
He really showed them what he's capable of, and I think people started to see it.
I'll tell you more so the type of thing that'll help change promotion is the Wilbur show, by the way, June 20th. Everyone go to the Wilbur. If that sells out, that's going to show them kind of what this is. They're going to say, holy shit. You know what I mean? They have a lot of shows there that couldn't come close to selling out a place like the Wilbur. So that'll show them something. Things like even the, I believe that when we try to break the record, I think, especially if we do it from New York, I think that I'm on board for promoting the show. I think it's going to be stuff, every once in a while, when there's stuff like that gets done, that Barstool can kind of understand and wrap their minds around, that'll get the promotion. I think in a day-to-day situation, there's not going to be any real difference.
I have thoughts on the record if you want to hear it.
I love it. I'm very excited for that.
I've done a 24-hour broadcast before.
Okay.
And I hosted it. It was a live broadcast. And I did have guests throughout. The worst part is between, say, like 1 a.m. and when the sun comes up. You feel completely devastated because you're tired beyond belief at that point and right. completely depressed. There is like despair throughout that time period. Right. When the sun comes up the next day and through the next day, you get a second wind and you're fine. I think that it's highly irresponsible for someone to try to go 60 hours on their own and not know that there's going to be psychological damage that's going to be done after that. But I have stayed up for 60 hours straight before. It's fucked up, dude. It is completely fucked up.
Now, what if I told you that the 3 men doing the podcast, one is clinically insane.
Oh, I know.
The other has not been diagnosed, and the third runs on batteries. What if I told you? What if I told you these 3 men were going to do it?
I feel like Steve's been put through sleep deprivation before.
He has. Yeah,
that's true.
He's trained in torture.
But the problem is this: it's a different playing field. If you are trying to break the Turkish podcast record, they had a bunch of people in there. It's not a fair playing field. I would want to break whatever record was for one host going the distance. I would want to break whatever that record is. And if that doesn't exist, I would create my own category with Guinness and set the fucking record. Because it's not
my
fair.
idea. It's
not right. Exactly. It is not fair to go after that record. 60 hours, one person, that's going to do damage. He's going to feel that. You all are going to feel that for a long time afterwards. It's going to fuck you up.
Oh, that's going to fuck up your whole week.
My idea was basically My idea was basically to set a minimum. Like if we can create our own record.
Yeah.
Say, all right, longest live podcast or whatever it would be, and set a minimum where we're doing at least 24 hours or we're doing at least 42 hours.
I think you can do whatever 36. I think you guys can do 36, and it would hurt you. But
I think we could do it. I honestly think we could do at least 42. I think we might be able to do more.
It's fucking rough.
Oh, I believe it's rough, but I think we could do it.
If you do the 60 hours, though, at some point you have to do some pre-work and do a We Are the World segment with all the Barstool people, each singing a different part.
Well, that's why I think it's a good idea to do in New York, because we're like Big Cat City would do 8 hours total. You get Clancy in for an hour. You get Carabas in for and even if you stay an hour, some of these guys are going to stay for longer. And it turns into more of then it turns into, 30 different conversations with people, or 15 or whatever the number is. You're having conversations with people rather than saying, all right, what's what story in the news do we have next? Or, that'll be really tough. But if we have a cavalcade of people rolling in, that might make it a little easier.
It's that second night that's going to fuck you. That's the problem. That's why I think 36
will
totally happen.
You can't have clocks you can see.
That second night is going to be so painful. The first night's painful enough. The second one's going to be devastating.
But isn't that going to be great to watch? That's the beauty of doing it live on YouTube. Won't that be great to watch?
I'll watch you, but
I'm losing our fucking minds.
I'll feel terrible for you because it'll be tough to watch.
It's going to be just rambling towards like the 12-hour mark. You're just going to be half asleep just talking.
So what? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so I did 60 hours once. I had like these crazy finals I had to do in college. So I stayed up all night to complete these projects and finals I had to do, and all night again, and stayed up 12 hours the next day. By the end of that 60, I was fucking crazy. I was writing love letters to women I didn't even know. I was hallucinating. I was seeing shit that wasn't there, dude. It is rough. 60 hours is rough. Yep. It's tough.
All right. Well, maybe I'll finally get to see. That'd be nice. I'm just seeing shit now. Finally.
If you go to your retina doctor, you might get to see, but I still haven't seen that you haven't done that yet.
Oh, well, that's
you just get glasses.
You know, it's an idea, Travis. I never thought of it. Maybe I should
You know.
get glasses.
That's what I was thinking today. I'm like, why didn't you just get glasses?
God damn it, Travis.
Travis,
Because his eyes don't work.
Travis, you live a simple life up there in Madawaska. Huh? It's
I'm a long way there from stability.
I like the attitude. It is, you know, you make a good point. I should have thought of glasses. Maybe even contacts. I hear they have these days.
Yeah, I wear contacts. It confuses me. I can't see for shit without my contacts.
Oh, do they work?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll try those out. Thank you for the
They work
tip.
great.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That brings up something. So we got a little surplus. We got a little extra quiche left over from the Minifans. They donated a lot of money to get me down to Miami. Old Mikey said, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to scrimp and save here." So we got a little extra dough. I told KMS Polls to put up a poll and ask you folks what I should do with the money. The charities, I know AJ's charity came up on this show. I'm guessing Matt has thoughts about that. I said the Jimmy Fund because that's near and dear to my heart, and it kind of relates with some of the Murchison stuff. And then people suggested, I thought this was an interesting suggestion, but I, again, didn't want to look like I was taking it for myself. Some people said looking into what it would cost, some sort of specialist or something like that. I don't know the cost of those type of things, but what do you guys think I should do with this extra quiche? We got about $1,000 to spend.
I think you should take it to the casino next weekend.
Eye doctor.
Eye doctor Travis says, give me some a good prescription.
Really
Nice
good
Matthew,
frames.
I think whatever it takes I'm dead serious about this, Mike. Whatever it takes to get you to see a retina specialist, you should fucking do. You really need to do it. Yeah. You've been misdiagnosed, dude.
Because that would be good for the show too, possibly.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah, film it.
I told him the KMS Polls guy put up me keeping the money as an option. And honestly, it seemed like Minifans were cool with that, but I was like, get that the fuck off of there, because I don't want there to be another pizza incident because of me. So we're not doing that. But maybe maybe the eye specialist is a thing to look into.
It's a good one.
Travis?
I'll go vote for that.
Mike, I have a cousin whose son has the same retina problem that you do.
Okay.
And her son is 20 years old probably now. And he's getting his driver's license. He got his driver's license like a month ago. He can't.
I don't think it's the same disorder.
This cocksucker doesn't have the same thing as me, Travis. I can't. I'm not lying here. You son. I'm going to come up to Madawaska and kick your ass. You understand me, Travis?
Travis's friend is far-sighted.
No. He has some real vision problems, but it's degenerative.
Right.
And it gets worse like yours.
All right. Well,
he's not nearly to the degree you are, but I know. That
okay. Now we're getting somewhere, Travis.
In Boston,
what does it take to get a license up there? Anything?
Nope.
Oh yeah, you have to do something.
You got to breathe.
Okay. I do want to get to Travis's Madawaska experience in a moment, but first I want to finish the Super Bowl stuff here. Was Willie the biggest surprise of the weekend? Would you guys say the Willie Colon makeup session?
Brandon Walker was my biggest surprise.
Really?
Yeah, just because he was in on the joke. Like, him and Willie kind of talked it out, whatever. But like, he had some real fun with Brandon.
Yeah. And do we think it seems like we're going to get the 1980s Nostalgia podcast. I don't know if there's been any more talk about it since, but, Deke Zucker tweeted it out. That usually makes it official, and seemed excited about it. So I don't know. Yeah, would you guys listen to something like that? I mean, I think Minifans would listen to anything Kirk do, but would you be interested in, I guess?
I would watch it or listen to it, but I mean, I'm not going to hold my breath that it's actually going to happen.
You don't think it's going to happen?
No.
I think there's a better chance of that happening than a long-term relationship with Willie, or long-term stability, I guess.
Do you think that we're going to turn back on Willie eventually? Something's going to come up and we're going to shit on him and he's not going to get it?
Not eventually. Very soon, Kirk will say something, and Willie will be very sort of, he'll have that glass jaw, and he can't take that.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so you don't think we didn't really make up with Willie this week? You don't think?
Well, it was a nice gesture, very Stern-esque. Kirk was really good, making friends with everybody.
Very admirable by Kirk. Very magnanimous.
Well, and I mean, the big sale obviously had him on his best behavior. He didn't want to be responsible for the guy taking that down.
I'll tell you guys what my biggest surprise of the week was Kevin F. Clancy. What the fuck is going on with him? He seems like a man unhinged. I mean, on Friday he seemed a little better, like he'd finally calmed down. But he was a man unhinged all week. I don't know what was wrong with him.
Minifans are in his head.
They gotta be, but why are they in his head? I thought the Minifans liked him, or was I missing something? Do they harass him online?
I don't think it was just Minifans. I think it's all together. He just doesn't seem like he really wants to stick around Barstool. I can't remember what he said earlier in the week. To sort of, he was complaining about the hour-long show, and that really wasn't his bag. And I get it, but I sort of got a sense that there was something deeper, like he was looking for something else.
There was a weird moment where a couple times Dave said, he goes, all the big players are sticking around. I'm gonna be here. Erica's gonna be here. Big Cat's gonna be here. And I was kind of like, in my mind, Kevin was always in that class because it was Kevin before Big Cat, I believe. And he's he's one of the guys that is equity. I thought he was in. Apparently, he's not in that class anymore. Maybe he is looking to leave. I don't know.
Well, I think probably from an employer perspective, it's really tough to employ someone like Kirk because Kirk doesn't need to work.
That's got to do with the price of tomatoes, Travis. But
well, because when you have to work, then you act a little different. Now Clancy's got a big boatload
I see.
of money.
So Kevin doesn't have to work anymore. So maybe he's thinking about leaving.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Right, I got you.
Matthew,
what do you think?
Boy,
biggest surprise is that?
I guess
sorry,
so,
kid.
yeah.
I mean, I don't have a lot of thoughts on KFC. I think I don't really know him outside what he's done on your show. So who knows?
Right. There was a weird moment on their show on CCK where Kirk was talking to Kirk mentioned how Jared was talking about his mental health. And I gotta say, I think I don't know if you guys listened to that at all. Anyone listen to CCK when Kirk was? No. So there was a moment that kind of hurt me a little bit. Not real. I mean, I know it was. I think they were mostly kidding around. But when Jared was like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna go on your show and talk about mental health with blind Mike," and Kevin was like, "Yeah, why would you do that with that?" Before? And even Kirk was kind of like, "Well, why not? What are you talking about?" And it's like I could probably talk about that shit a lot more intelligently than, which I realize is not a word, but intellectually than Jared or Kevin. Like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about that I couldn't, because it's a weird thing that, like, I think I do an all right job on the show of speaking my mind and giving my opinions. It's a weird thing that I really believe, because I'm blind and took a wallet to the face, that they're like, well, why would I talk about anything serious with that asshole?
I think you've been typecast.
It's a respect thing.
It is a weird. That was kind of the theme of the week with and Kirk kind of said this to me over and over again. It's like, I guess I just got to get over it. Like, Portnoy's never going to respect me. None of those guys are really. I will say, Big Cat's the one guy that kind of treats me like a human being. And Casey was actually very cool to me. Those are the two people that came in that actually treated me like an adult there. So I respect that a lot. But yeah, there is a weird thing that maybe I'll never get over. But it's just like I'm looked at like, oh, this blind buffoon who we shouldn't talk to. We should just secretly film him as he trips down the stairs.
But then it was strange that Portnoy seemed to be looking for you towards the tail end of the week. Like he wanted you around almost. So
deep down, Portnoy loves me. He'll always love me. There's a soft spot in his heart for me. He'll never think I'm talented or good at my job or worth hiring, but he certainly doesn't hate me. The idea that he ever hated me was silly. Because there's no reason to hate me. He can dislike me, but I've never done anything to him that would have hate in his heart for me. It never made any fucking sense. Now I get it with the Penn National thing, but other than that, I never understood it.
I think, though, Mike, you've been Costanza.
In what sense, Travis?
Because they sort of made you this character that they could throw wallets at and hit ping pong balls at.
Yeah.
And made it seem like you're this dunce of sorts.
Yeah.
Without ever actually listening to you actually work.
That's fair.
The talent you have.
So that's kind of the talent of Kirk and the brilliance of Kirk is that he looked at me and said, wait a second. this guy is an asshole in so many other ways. Like there are so many other things we don't have to attack his disability. He's stupid. He's fat. He's he's got a weird thing with his parents that we can make fun of. So he's seen so many other angles to make fun of me, which I think is the true charm of me. You know, that's what I think the brilliance of Kirk Minahan comes in.
You must have felt. You must have felt.
He just made fun of you. I think he also let your talent sort of shine through.
Yes, that's true. Level. I am extremely talented, and I appreciate you recognizing that, Travis. What were you going to say, Matt?
You must have felt like you had to say yes to everything, though. Is that the case when you were an intern at Barstool? So whatever they brought out, whether it's throwing shit at you or whatever, you must have felt like you had to say yes.
Yeah. So here's this gets brought up a lot where I like if I ever bring it up when I'm arguing with Dave or whatever, I bring up the blind thing, and people are right when and Kirk said this to me before, and others have said this. I can't go in there and say, hey, give me an internship, call me Blind Mike, you can make fun of me, and then complain about I can't complain about it later if I'm volunteering for that. The reason I bring it up is that I guess in my mind, I thought there would eventually be some sort of a trade-off where like, okay, if he wants to do a podcast, we'll let him or whatever. But also, I thought there would be a trade-off in the sense of, well, I let you guys shit all over me. So if in 5 years I make one off-the-cuff comment about a guy named Tommy Smokes, you're not going to blow up on me. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I thought the trade-off was, that, like, we were all in on the joke. But instead it kind of became a thing like, no, we made fun of you as the disabled weirdo, but you're not supposed to make fun of us ever.
I think you don't really stand up for yourself very much, though. That's true. That's what's going on. True. And if you ever decided to do that, it would be a different scenario. Like you can just say fuck it if they're not going to respect me, but I'm just not going to take their shit all the time either. Like that's your decision.
That is true. Do that. Yeah.
Like I wouldn't take Dave's shit anymore either if I were you. Even though, like, fine, he has a $450 million company, but at some point you kind of have to be. Okay, but my self-respect is worth something, and
well, to be fair, I did say fuck you, grow some balls and fire me, you pussy, and I still have a job.
Yes, but you didn't do anything about that. Then you backed down. You backed down.
I don't know that I backed down. I don't know that I backed down.
Regardless, but listen, I'm not judging you negatively. You've got to do what you need to do in order to have a job. You're on the Kirk Minahan show. That's an amazing opportunity, and I see that. So years from now, that will have repercussions if you have a successful career in broadcast or whatever you want to do, or an awesome podcast, or just stay with Kirk. So you got to do what you got to do. But you didn't back yourself up. You went after him, and then you backed off. You pushed out, I
don't know that I pushed out in that situation because I didn't say I think I was right, and I said this on Kirk's show.
You were right to push back. You were right.
Yes, I was right to push back. I was not right to say grow some balls and fire me, you pussy, because I didn't want to get fired.
Okay, maybe maybe that went too far because then you also put Kirk in a tough situation where he would have had to defend you.
That too. I didn't want to be the guy that got the Kirk Minahan show kicked off Barstool Sports or whatever it would be.
Then maybe a better tact would have said, "Listen, I probably shouldn't have told you that I want to get fired. I don't want to get fired, but I also don't want you to pick on me anymore, you asshole. You were acting like an asshole to me, and let's just both acknowledge that. I don't want you to fire me, but let's acknowledge that."
I think where you could say I pushed out was where I said, yes, I'll kiss your feet.
Exactly.
But I will say the second I hung up the phone, I feel safe to say this now because it's not going to happen. The second I hung up the phone, I texted Stephen Kirk and said, so obviously when I kiss his feet, I'm going to be dressed as Stella, right? So I assumed there would be like a funny angle to it. In my mind, maybe that's still being a pussy. I don't know. But
at some point, it's your thing, and at some point, you're just going to have to decide whether or not you want to draw a line that they can't cross. To like a line of self-respect that you don't want them to cross. You'll have to decide that for yourself.
Right. I can understand that. I don't know. Any other standout moments from this week that you guys wanted to get into before we get into some Madawaska stuff?
Justin's celebrity list was riveting.
Oh,
stuff.
Of course. I do have to say, Justin did a great job this week. There wasn't a lot for him to do, but what he did a good job. He did a good job with Life of the Parody with Ned Snark. The sound quality wasn't great, but that wasn't Justin's fault. That's just the equipment we were working with. I thought the video of me sad walking around Miami was very funny.
That was funny.
And it got a lot of views. Justin did a good job on that. DC helped out with the voiceover work. He did a good job as well. And then Justin was also kind of my, as I learned on the trip home, having a seeing eye man with me on the way down was very helpful getting through the airport, because Jesus Christ, was that a nightmare, me wandering around Miami International. I had to go through security twice. I did get upgraded to first class, which was nice. But Justin did do a great job. And I got to say, I think Justin, a little message to Justin here. He was very down on himself. He's like, I don't know why that celebrity list became such a big thing. I don't know why you made me do the top 150. I don't know why Kirk thought it was so funny. I think he was very nervous and down on himself. But it's like that makes Justin into kind of a character. Before, it was just a guy named Justin that pushed buttons on my fucking computer here and wanted to kill himself. Now he's kind of a character. We know him as this big
celebrity
dumb oaf,
guy.
This big dumb oaf that lists his favorite celebrities.
I mean, he was definitely just naming names too. There was no order to that whatsoever.
No, I told him not to, Matt. I was very specific. I said, don't just name names. This better be an official ranking here.
He says like some fat Mike guy, and then like 60 people later, he's like Shaquille O'Neal.
And he had like LeBron James behind like Ray Allen and Ron Artest.
I laughed out loud, Mike, when you said to him he named Jonathan Kraft, and then like 10 people later he says Bill Belichick, and you were like, Jonathan Kraft before Bill Belichick?
Yeah, like that's when it was
so confused. He had to come up with an excuse. That was great.
That might have been sitting there for that. Might have been my favorite part of the week, honestly. Just how I think my favorite thing in radio is when you have a guy doing what I would consider like great content, but they don't get it. Like what Justin did was hilarious to me. Like the fact that I made him sit there for an hour and say, do your top 50 celebrities. And when he got to 50, I made him do 100 and then 50 more. That to me is so funny, but he doesn't get it. He's like, why do I have to do this? I don't understand. That's my favorite shit in radio.
He was so uncomfortable the whole time too.
Exactly.
He hates when the camera's the other way around on him.
But I do have to say, Mike, Justin did a good job.
One other thing from that whole same night. Steve was sponsored by Milton's, right? What was with the Hawaiian shirt?
What was with the Hawaiian shirt? That's a good question. So I brought a Milton shirt for every day. My guess would be, I think Kirk was in Milton's most of the time. My guess would be Steve said, listen, I got some nice clothes from Milton's, but I'm going to let my personality, I'm here in Miami. I'm going to let my personality shine, and I'm going to fit in. It was, as I mentioned, maybe Steve's a very intelligent guy. He knows business. So maybe he said, hey, this company was just evaluated at $450 million. Let me wear a Dave Portnoy shirt to get in the big boss's good graces, because that was a very Portnoy shirt he was wearing.
That's
so
like
I don't know. I
part
don't know
of
the meaning
Steve's
behind
brain.
It. Yes. Yeah.
It's the part of Steve's brain that wants to be Barstool. He's like trying to fit in. So he's like, I'm going to dress like someone like Dana would dress, or Feidelberg, and part of his programming is just like, this is what I have to do to fit in Miami with these guys.
Right. He grew the beard. That would
soften his
local. Yeah. What did you guys think of Steve's mood throughout the week? A little much, or what did we think? I was surprised, and I can confirm it was genuine. I think he might have been playing up his visceral anger about leaving. Like I don't think he was as mad at Justin as we portrayed or whatever. But
it was.
But I will say, after the show Friday, the first thing he said to me was, "I can't wait to get the fuck out of here." So he was ready to get out of Miami.
Dude, it's fucking cold here. It was cold all week. And you guys are sitting down there in some tropical weather, maybe, an earthquake or two, but whatever. Fucking enjoy it.
Listen, man, who has time to sweat the small stuff? We can get back here and start getting angry about Globe stories and this fake outrage bullshit, or we could be in Miami hanging, sipping umbrella drinks, high-fiving Big Cat and Willie Colon.
Still getting mad about Globe stories.
Pick your lane. Come on. Yeah, still getting mad about Globe
two
stories.
Things going on, Mike. Okay.
What's that, Travis?
Steve, I think there's two big things going on. Steve seems like a guy who really likes structure, likes his ducks in a row, so to speak.
Sure.
Part 2 of that was he's so busy with Barstool content, he had zero time to see what was going on with the impeachment deal.
That is true. Maybe he didn't get
He was withdrawing.
He didn't get his political fix while we were down there. That might be right.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I meant to start the show asking you guys this. I don't know how big of sports fans any of you are, but when we were down there, we were at the Super Bowl. There was no talk about the Super Bowl. I mean, obviously, the first couple of days, you had Kobe, and then you had the Barstool sale, which was huge in our world. In the real world, is the Super Bowl getting talked about more? Am I just missing it, or is there no buzz about this fucking Super Bowl?
There weren't like signs everywhere on the streets when you were down there?
It was people. I mean, there were people in like you saw some Niners and Chiefs jerseys. You saw more Patriots jerseys and like Dolphins jerseys, obviously, than anything. But I mean, the talk of the week was all. To be quite honest, a lot of the people in Miami didn't know which way was up. If you'd go anywhere at night, people are offering you blow. It was. It's more of a party city than a sports city.
It's a baseball city.
Yeah, that too. But as far as I'm saying, the talk of the week, like whether it was Kirk Minahan's show, Barstool Radio, podcast, anything I listened to, no one was talking about the Super Bowl, and I just don't know, like around your guy's office or other shows you listen to. Does anyone give a fuck about this game, or is it just like what the fuck is going on with the Super Bowl?
I mean, I turned to my coworker yesterday and I said, "Oh, like you're gonna watch the Super Bowl this weekend?" He said, "Oh, that's this weekend." And I was like,
really?
"Yeah, that's the same kind of attitude I have about it. The only reason I knew it was this weekend is because you guys were down there." And
I don't get it. I mean, you have like Jimmy G's kind of a rising star. Pat Mahomes, a huge rising star. Chiefs and Niners are historic franchises. They're not huge. I mean, San Francisco's a big market. Kansas City, not so much. But those are big football towns. And it should be a good game. It's weird that no one gives a fuck, but there is just no buzz about the Super Bowl. Even as much as my big fight was to get into Media Night in Radio Row, I didn't hear a fucking word about it.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything about it. Nobody seems to be doing much for it. I mean, maybe it's a Patriots thing. If the Patriots aren't in it, interest goes down, obviously. But like you said, there's some good storylines with Jimmy G and Patrick Mahomes and all that stuff. So there should be a little more interest, I would think, but I'm not hearing it like I normally do.
Just weird. The game's tomorrow, and I'm barely even thinking about it. What do you guys think of Ned Snark's performance in Life of the Parrot?
Ned Snark is just on fire right now.
He's a rising star. It's nice that he finally. What's that?
He said he got 300 Twitter followers in the last 5 days. Like he's electric.
That's
people
the power.
love him.
I gotta tell you guys, that's that what they call that business, the blind mic bump. You start working with blind mic, you're gonna get a little bump in numbers there.
Or if you look like
Providence
he does,
well, he's a handsome man as well. I understand. Blind Mike's groupie, by the way, stepping on Matthew's toes here.
Ooh.
Send me a parody song before the show that I have to listen to.
Very nice.
I don't know. Oh, so I want to talk about Madawaska in a second, but I should talk to Matt because Matt's coming in this week. You're making your production debut. How do you feel? You nervous? Excited? Scared?
Actually, so I'll talk about this more on the show if Kirk wants to get into it. So I don't want to get into too detailed, but I would say that shadowing Steve was eye-opening for me and odd, and I felt less comfortable that day than I think I will in the future. Now on Thursday, even though I'll just be there by myself on Thursday, now that I know what I'm getting into, I feel a lot more confident about it.
Is it more than you expected or less?
Well, that's another thing too. I'd like to talk about Steve a little bit on the show because I've got some thoughts about what he does, and I think I'd like to save it for there as long as Kirk wants to talk about it. But I would say it's more. Yeah, I think it's more.
Oh, okay. You're going to kiss Steve's ass?
Not necessarily, no. You won't know until we talk about it. But
I was going to say, I don't want to get.
It's more.
If you've got glowing praise about Steve, we're not going to want to get into it. But
it's more that the scenario is odd and just different than I would have expected. It's hard to know what it's going to look like or sound like or be like when you're listening to it. Even the filming, you see Mike on one side, you see Kirk on the other side, but it's a very narrow view, so you just don't get a sense of what it's like in there. It's a little odd. But yeah, I'm excited to do it. and I think it'll be a shit ton of fun. I mean, it's amazing.
You think DEC coming in on Friday is stepping on your toes a little bit, or?
I don't care. I mean, it just depends on what he wants to do. Like, I know he won't know the setup, so I'll probably have to still deal with all the production stuff. Obviously, my main concern is to make sure that the show gets recorded well and gets out on time and all of that. So the other stuff is secondary. I did write a parody song about DEC. I don't know if he knows about it.
That's exciting.
Well, no, before you've heard it, it was I had my wife sing it. It was about his daughter. It was from his daughter's perspective.
Oh, yes. DEC. Okay, that was good. Yeah, I remember that.
Maybe he'd have something to say about that. I don't know.
What would be great? And I like you, Matt. You seem like a very nice guy. But what would be great is if we do the show and on Thursday we get to like 11 o'clock and we realize that you were not recording the show the entire time. And Kirk has to scream at you. I would find that very funny. No offense. Even if Kirk decides to dress me down for 2 days straight, it'll still be an amazing experience. I don't give a shit. You can do whatever you want to do. So you, Matt, both Matts, you guys will be in Madawaska, correct? Yeah, correct. I guess we're gonna have to turn to Travis to let us know. Travis has a lot of great insight into the world of sight and visual impairment, but I guess he has even greater insight into the world of Madawaska as he does live up there. So, Travis, what do the people need to know that are headed to Madawaska this weekend?
Beware of frost heaves. The roads are getting a little bit bumpy. Frost heaves? Okay.
What is that?
That's what I was afraid.
Frost heaves.
So you're driving along, and there's like a huge bump in the road. But the frost has actually moved the road up a couple of feet.
Feet?
No, that doesn't
not like inches, but feet?
This is like the day after tomorrow type stuff.
So we're just going up ramp, basically, on our way there.
Well, sometimes they mark them, but they're sort of coming quick right now. And I haven't seen the state go up and mark them yet. So they're sort of like a nice little surprise.
Now,
this is a
I
bizarre
saw
world.
whether it's going to be snowing on Friday. Is that correct?
Yeah, apparently 1 to 3 on Friday.
1 to 3 on Friday. I mean, I'm planning on leaving.
Not too bad.
My crew is leaving at 3 a.m. Friday morning.
Whoa.
You're going to be going.
Yeah. And so we should be getting up there around lunchtime, hit a quick nap, and then Mike and the Minifans live from Big Rick's.
I should say, Matt, I hope you don't feel snubbed.
No.
I could change things up, but my plan was only because they asked, really, and because they are legends. The plan for Mike and the Minifans Friday is going to be me, Kevin from Bristol, Lauren Lynn, and then we're rotating people in. All three of you guys could be on if you want. Sure. But Matt should be on the whole time with me if you want.
I'll be there as a viewer regardless, so I don't really care.
All right. So come to Big Rick's, Travis, you were telling us is a kind of a cool place. That's where we'll be doing Mike and the Minifans.
Yep.
And you were saying there's going to be like live music there before I start?
There's going to be live music before, and Rick had already planned the live music, and I followed up with him to make sure we're going to do Mike and the Minifans there. So he's moved the live music early. So if you get to Big Rick's early, there'll be live music early, and then that's the opening act, and then Mike will be the closer.
I'm a big deal in there, guys. I'm headlining. I'm headlining Big Rick's in Madawaska. This is kind of like my practice. So I'm headlining Big Rick's in Madawaska, and then I'm opening the Wilbur Theater in June. So this is kind of a big couple months for me here. I got to get ready. I got to prepare for my the ascent into greatness that I'm taking.
Yeah, you're moving good.
Where's Big Rick's from where we'll be ice fishing? How far away?
It's probably 10, 12 miles. But anybody going to Edmonton has to go past Big Rick's to get there. It's like near the border. And if you're anybody staying in Madawaska, it's not very far.
All right. Any other warnings for people as far as clothes or things to bring or anything?
Oh wait, what time? Do you know what time Mike?
Mike and the Minifans. Assuming we get there, assuming me, Justin, and the Warthog arrive on time, Mike and the Minifans should be starting at 8 o'clock. Is that correct, Travis?
That's the plan.
It's going to be cutting it close, my friend. Mike, that's going to cut it close.
We are definitely going to be cutting it close. So, like I said,
if you leave at like 11 or 11:30, if I get the show out by depending on what has to happen, if I get the show out by 10:30 or so, 11, but I got to kind of stay around to make sure Steve's got it and can upload it so that everybody can hear it before I leave. Because once I leave, it's over, and then no one will have a show on Friday. if we can leave by 11, that's still going to cut it really close. Probably a 9-hour drive. 9-hour drive.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to make it for 8 o'clock. If I get there later, Travis, is that a big deal? If we have to start at 8:39?
No, it's not a big deal at all. No,
Awesome.
because Rick is going to be happy to have all kinds of Minifans in there, buying
all right,
drinks.
so
and
Minifans,
enjoying
get
the
to
evening.
guys. Here's the thing: guys like Steve from Providence, TJ Hubbard, Kevin from Bristol. I've seen these guys go at it before. They're going to be. In fact, I might need Matt from Providence because Kevin from Bristol is going to be 3 sheets to the wind by the time I get there.
Well,
So,
I'm driving
now
with them, so
Remember,
all right.
don't get too crazy on Friday night at Big Rick's, although we all want to have a good time there, because
Right.
the Northern Maine Brewing Company is setting up a beer garden on the ice
All right.
for the
We'll hair of the
Minifans.
dog the next day.
Wow.
I like.
We're going to have five different beers on tap.
Okay.
that'll be fun.
That'll be on the ice right where we're fishing.
And now, do I
Sounds
recall?
pretty
Did
awesome.
Steve say we were going to be able to have like a fire out on the ice and stuff, or is that?
Yep, we're bringing a bunch of wood. We have a fire.
And I saw maybe like he had noted in his email you can bring like grills or stuff like
yeah.
that. But
It's like a party out there.
oh man, nice.
This sounds awesome, honestly. I was just in Miami, like the party capital of the United States, for the Super Bowl with a company that was just evaluated at $500 million. And I am much more excited to go to Madawaska with you fucking lunatics out on the
So
ice.
we're excited to have all the Minifans up here.
All right. Anything else people should bring, Travis, as far as clothes or anything like that?
No, just remember that they're going to be turning at your church, Mike. St. Michael's Chapel.
That's true. Oh, me
where we
and
go
Matt
on
were
the
very
ice.
into the story a few weeks ago. What's happening with our boy, the co-leader up there?
Well, I went up to Lakeview tonight, and when I went past his house, there was 2 state troopers and a sheriff's car, and they were at the front door talking with Mr. Blankenship. But when I went back by, there didn't seem to be any more police presence, and there was no ambulances, so I don't believe anybody got shot. I think he's being quiet for the moment.
I'm kind of hoping for a Fargo situation where there's some shady shit
wood
going on,
chipper.
some small town shady stuff going on by the time we get there. That's what I would like. If we're in a
Well,
real,
we're
standoff.
literally all going to drive, because when you leave the ice fishing grounds and go to Lakeview, you're literally going to drive past his house.
Well, my concern is that he
Minifans
hears
will drive
100. He's going to hear 150 people are coming up and think that we're sent to him from the Messiah or something. And
Well, in a way we
who
are.
knows
Matt, in
what
a
he
way.
could think? Like, he could be capable of anything.
He
That
could be.
is
We're not
true.
going to rile him up.
Oh, of course I have to ask you, Travis. Let's
Good.
be brutally honest with me here. How nervous should I be about Richard Chandler? How much of a presence does this guy have in Madawaska? What are his resources?
I
What
think
should I be
you're
looking over
safe,
my
Mike.
shoulder?
I think you're safe.
You think I'm
Actually,
safe?
the one story we missed, you missed here with the Miami Week, was this whole thing with Kirk being courted by a FM station in Boston.
Ooh, yes, we can get to that.
Yeah. Well, that was Richard Chandler had just looked,
you think
looked
so?
into buying a new station in Boston.
Really?
That's what this whole thing was. Yeah.
Well, you might be right. You may be right. Maybe he's trying to ruin my career. He's stealing Kirk away, and that's how he's going to bury me. Maybe he's more methodical. I thought he was going to break my knees. Maybe he's a little more methodical than that. That's the thing about Richard
still
Chandler. You
might
don't know when he's
happen,
going to
Mike.
strike. How much of
Never
a
know.
figure is Richard Chandler up there? Is he a big deal?
Well, he's a good. They're a good bunch of people. Like Channel X is
All right.
literally like the mom and pop radio station.
Well,
And they're the guys that are out doing, basketball games, and they're doing live remotes at, a farmer's market and that kind of thing that the big radio
It's-
stations don't want to be
That's
part of.
intense.
maybe he'll end up working
See,
for their
I-
street team by the time. What was
I
their street
imagine
team
him.
say?
I imagine Richard Chandler as like the bad guy from Roadhouse. Just
That's
he's
kind
got
of more
his
how I
gang of
see it, Matt. I
goons
think you're
and
right. Yeah.
He runs the town with an iron fist.
That's much more how I see him. I think you're right. I think Travis is covering for him. Travis seems like a perfectly nice guy. I get it. But I'm still a little afraid of Richard Chandler. All right, boys. We'll get the second goon squad in here, but I appreciate you all coming on.
You got it.
Matt from Providence, we see every week, so I'll talk to you next
Yep.
week. Actually, I'll see all you guys next week. I forgot.
I'll see you in
Madawaska.
person next week.
Friday night.
Excellent. All right, boys. Thank you for coming on, and
Thanks, Mike.
we'll see
Have
you.
a good one.
We're on to Madawaska. See you, boys. Oh, and Matt
Yeah.
will see you in
See you then.
All right,
Sounds good.
goodbye.
Bye bye.
So now we're gonna get the second group of goons in here. Was that awkward or was it just me? I don't understand. I think I'm gonna say I think Travis took the mood down a little bit. I don't know what was going on there, but we'll get to the second hour. Maybe my guy from Canton, Menners, and Latino Kirk will bring up the mood here. But first, I want to tell you about my good friends, Peak Image Med Spa. The thing I want to make sure everyone knows is that when you support anyone that sponsors this show, you're supporting diehard Minifans. The sponsors that we get on Mike and the Minifans are guys that come to us and say, hey, I listen to the show. I want to sponsor it. I like the Minifans. I like Kirk's show. I want to be in the Kirk Minahan business and the Blind Mike business, I guess. So if you're a real gearhead, go there as well. Peak Image Med Spa. They're going to suck the fat right out of your neck. If you're tired of having to angle your face for pictures, if you're tired of growing a beard to cover that double chin, which I guess some people do, then make sure you go to peakimagemedspa.com. A couple quick injections, and they'll suck the fat right out of your neck. And no more double chin, no more fat jokes at your expense, because you're going to be looking fine. They've also got plenty of other things to offer you there. You can go to their Instagram page at Peak Image Med Spa to see all sorts of testimonials, before and after pictures, and all the other things they can offer you, including Brotox for you guys and Botox for the ladies. So go to peakimagemedspa.com to book yourself an appointment. Give them a call as well. They have 2 locations. Kenmore Square in Boston. So maybe if you're out at Truck Day heckling the Red Sox and telling people to Google Stephen Murphy, afterwards you can get the fat sucked out of your neck at Peak Image Med Spa in Kenmore Square. Or if you're in the Braintree, Massachusetts area, go to the Split in Braintree by Fit Factory, a gym I used to go to. And that's where you can check them out in Braintree as well. So peakimagemedspa.com, check them out today, and mention Mike and the Minifans to save yourself 50 clams. Mention Mike and the Minifans, you get a nice little deal there. So let them know you support the people that support this show. Sounds like we got some people in here. Tim from Kenton, Menners, and Latino Kirk. Are you boys all with me?
Good evening, Michael.
What's up?
What's up, buddy? Big week for Menners. No, you were on the Minifan show. I haven't gotten to hear you, but how was that experience?
Yes, look, I think it was the biggest week for the Kirk Minahan show, and it was the biggest week for the Australian Kirk Minahan fan club. We released our special last Friday night. Myself and the Aussie Minifan were thrilled by the way it was received. And yeah, I got to go on the Minifan show. I got Steve calling me a fucking twat. There was the parody song, Douchebag from Down Under. So it's been a big week for the club.
I want to ask you about that, and I want to ask you about your relationship with Steve in a second. But first, let me bring in my other gentleman. Tim from Kenton, are you there? Tim from Kenton's not here. Where the fuck is he?
He said he's gonna run a little late.
Oh, what a prima donna. Tim from Kenton out there doing his hot chocolate investigations. Thinks he can just do whatever the fuck he wants now that he's on the YouTube. See, here's the thing. 2 guys got on the Kirk Minahan Show YouTube this week. Menners and Tim from Kenton. One of them had the fucking respect to show up on time for this show, and the other's a bit of a prima donna. So, Menners, I respect you for being here. Latino Kirk, what's going on?
You know, just living the dream. I do have a bunch of questions to you that I want to get through.
We'll get to that in a second, but first I want to know, Menners, when you hear Steve talk about you, do you think it's played up a little bit? Because, so here's my perspective. I'm in these group messages where you're messaging with him very civilly, saying like, hey, can you throw this up? You guys want to give this a watch? Whatever. And then I hear him on the air saying he hopes you get fucked by koalas. What the hell's going on here?
Well, I know. I think I've got under his skin. I think the stuff I brought up on the Minifan show, in particular, from those early episodes, certainly exposed some old wounds of Steve's. And I think he's genuinely a little bit rattled. I mean, we could see by the end of Miami, he was all over the shop. So, yeah, I don't mind it. I actually played some of the audio to my wife, and she said he could lay off the fires and the koalas. He could have said bitten by a snake or something.
We don't have to get so personal with the tragedies that have affected a lot of people down there. You know?
That's right.
Hey, Manners, I thought Australians were supposed to be nice people. No, why there's no hate?
I'm a really nice person. I mean, I adore Mike and Kirk.
Manners is always nice to me. He seems like a nice guy.
And it's not that I just don't like Steve. I'm not going to fake it for some Minifan show or something. And as I said, he's not sabotaging the show, but he is very replaceable. Actually, as I said, I can't wait till this Thursday and Friday to see, what Matt and then DEC do with you guys in studio. I think it's going to be.
I hadn't thought about that.
Revelation.
That's going to be a couple big days for you. Where if everything goes fine, this is a big win for Menners on that Aussie Minifan show. But I got to say, if it's a disaster or the show sounds weird, then I wonder what you're going to say if you're going to change your tune a little bit.
Well, I did think, listening to the shows from Miami, one of the real improvements was with all the guests coming in, there was less Steve, and he was just kind of a button pusher. Why are you laughing? It's true. I mean, there was less Mike. There was less Mike as well, but that wasn't as good. But there was certainly less Steve. He was sidelined. He was just, a Ken Laird figure, just pushing buttons in the sound box, and I think that was his role. And
so you think he's better at that? You think Steve is more of a button pusher than an on-air guy?
Yeah, and I mentioned before, I know you're uneasy, Mike, but as I said on the Minifan show, there are things about Steve's personality that would indicate he's a sociopath. Casey Smith said it on the show on Friday.
Oh, well, sure, yeah.
So it's clear the guy has a massive psychological disorder going on.
Oh, but don't we all?
See it in the eyes. Yeah, of course. We're all sitting here on the Minifan show, but Steve is a psychopath. I am glad I'm not going to be in Madawaska because I fear I would have been murdered.
So here's the thing. I love Steve. Last time I was here, I defended him. I said like a bunch of nice things about him. But how sad is he by his comment about the video game? The punch out thing. He doesn't even know about video games.
That was you almost saw Steve come out of his funk for the week finally when he was miserable all week until Brandon Walker started talking video games and he said, "This is my time to shine. I'm going to put this asshole in his place about Mike Tyson's Punch Out." But then all I saw all week were people saying Steve was wrong about that. I've never played Mike Tyson's Punch Out. But I hear he was wrong about that.
Yep.
It was a bad week for Steve, though.
You think so?
Kirk came out of Miami. His stocks have gone up a huge amount at Barstool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have survived the week, Mike. I think you've gone up a little bit in Portnoy's eyes because you didn't sabotage a $500 million deal.
I guess so, yeah.
Steve has come out of it with his reputation in tatters, and that whole fucking lie about Elias just sums up what a psychopath he is.
That must have been a big moment. Manners, that must have been a big moment for you when you found out when you saw Kirk's Periscope and then found out what it was all about. That must have been a big moment for you. What did you make of all that Elias stuff?
Oh, he's just a paranoid, like schizophrenic or something, Steve. He's running around thinking Minifans are going to track him down. And the fact that he went so deep into the lie, that's what should all concern us. I can see kind of maybe not wanting to sort of say exactly where he is, but to go so deep into the lie for months and months and months.
Yeah.
What else is he lying about? I mean,
it is strange in the sense that, so when my hotel would come up, I'd say, I'm not going to say, and then eventually I just said the name of it. But if I didn't want to say it, I would just go, I'm not going to say the name. It is weird to create a human being that he would be staying with that just never existed. That's the bizarre part. The weird thing with Steve, I think Steve doesn't get why Kirk and I make such a big deal of some of his lies. And that's why we make a big deal of it, because he doesn't get why it's a big deal.
Well, he lives on his own world, right? So he thinks it's fine. No. What's the name of that kids show, like Bob's World, right?
I'm not familiar with that.
I know, it's like
Latino Kirk is the Travis of this hour, where I'm not sure what the fuck he's talking about half the time. What did you guys think of that? Were you guys watching the first hour?
Yep.
What did you think of that? Was that weird? Is it just me? Was it my fault? What the fuck was going on there? It felt off. Something was off there.
Matt from Providence was very quiet today.
I got that vibe. I didn't know. Maybe he was trying to hang back and let everyone else talk. But in that first hour, I was kind of relying on Matt from Providence, especially because I didn't. Matt Carano, I didn't know was going to be on. So I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with old Matt from Providence. He seemed a little. He adopted that blind Mike human nature a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, let me ask you a question.
Please do.
Did you talk with Dave at all while in Miami?
No, I did not see him once. I did not speak a word. I spoke to him via text, very briefly.
And tell us, what were the planned stunts you had for Miami?
So we were going to disrupt Radio Row and Media Night and that type of shit, and then that was obviously completely off the board. So then I said, what if we did essentially the same thing, but at a drag night, to like next door to it, like down the idea being I'm blind, so they gave me the wrong address, or I just showed up there, or whatever we made it, and that was nixed as well. So it kind of became a thing. I didn't have a ton of planned things, but those were the things I had planned for Monday. Mm-hmm. And it became very obvious that those weren't going to be allowed at all, and nothing like that was going to be allowed. And I didn't understand it, so that kind of killed my spirit a little bit. And by Wednesday, I understood why it was that way. So that's why I made the video of me kind of aimlessly wandering around Miami sad, because I figured I can't really do anything involving other people. One idea I had was Barstool people talking about Kirk, but no one was really willing to do that. Mm-hmm. So it kind of just became a thing where, what if I made a video of all my failed attempts and me not being able to do anything and make fun of myself? Yeah. Because it kind of seemed like that's the only angle that would be allowed.
That was a great video. Whose idea was that? Was that your idea for the video?
That was mine. Well, so Steve said something about making a documentary where I'm just kind of like on the beach, or talking to homeless people, or chasing the stray cat. Steve mentioned something like that. I kind of turned it into a 30 for 30 thing where it's me sad walking around that I can't do anything. And then Justin had a couple good ideas in there as well. So I guess
Justin did that fucking drip. I'm down on Justin. I'm down.
You're
Justin.
down on Justin. I thought it was a great week for Justin.
No, that Periscope you put up, they should play, with him going through his 100 celebrities. They should play that in Guantanamo Bay to the people there, because that is fucking torture. Not even I could get through that, who's a peak Minifan.
That's funny you say that, man, because that was my favorite. Like, I love shit like that. So I think
I don't like it.
But I like the fact that I'm not saying, he was great and entertaining. I love the fact of how bad it was and how uncomfortable it was.
It was awful and painful to watch.
Right.
He's just a very sad figure. He's a very sad figure. And he needs to sort of, I guess, really pay attention to the guidance you and Kirk and Steve are giving him. He's just floundering around, this big mop of head. I don't know. I'm down on Justin. I don't see a big future for him.
It takes confidence for a guy like that to pipe up at dinner with Kirk.
Right, yeah.
Where he feels the bravado to say, hey, hold on a second, fellas. You know what? I'm going to put Travis Barker in my top 5 as well.
Well, first he goes for the lobster ravioli, probably one of the most expensive things on the menu. And then he starts giving you his top 5 celebrities.
Well, Justin got very indignant with me, where he was listening to the pod. I mentioned this on the Kirk show one day. I forget when I said it. But where he'll listen to the podcast, and I'm not aware he's listening because it's in his headphones or whatever. And Tim is here. We'll get to Tim in a second. But Justin's listening to the show in his headphones, and out of nowhere, he'll just say, why is it a big deal that I ordered the $17 lobster ravioli? And I said, well, I think it's just because people would assume it's an expensive item. And you said, well, I know Kirk is paying, so I'm just going to get whatever the fuck I want. Justin did also have a weird... Tell me if you guys think this is weird. I paid for Justin's lunches every day and all that type of stuff. And then on the last day, we're out to lunch, and Justin mentioned something about the money that was donated to me from the Minifans. And I said, well, Patrick said, like in Patrick's list of what the money was for, he included Uber rides and food. And I said, we really didn't very many Uber rides and food. Like, I'm essentially eating no differently than I would be if I were home. Like, any food down there was more expensive than back here. But I'm not going to charge the I'd rather go to charity than I'll just pay for my own food. So that's when Justin realized I paid for his meal. Like Justin was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were paying for my meals all week." Blah blah blah. And he was like, "Oh, thank you very much." And then when he's leaving,
you're a bit too scared about this whole using the Minifans' money for the wrong thing.
Well,
I think
I just don't want to come off.
Got you running scared. Of course, the meals down there are a valid expense. And what the fuck is going on with your audio tonight, Mike? I mean, I know Justin's not there, so I can't blame him. Are you on the Wi-Fi from next door? Are you on the Wi-Fi from the Chinese restaurant?
Gotta blame the new producer. Justin's showing his value as I'm ripping him here. Is it no good?
A lot of comments coming up on the chat. I want to throw something at you, Mike, because I'm worried about Monday. I'm worried that Kirk is going to stew on this whole Liz Gonzales blog about Aaron Hernandez.
Funny you say that. I thought the exact same thing. I wondered about that.
I feel like Monday could be the first time since Miami, like Kirk is going to go hard at her, because if she really did write some stupid blog about Hernandez's girlfriend, she deserves everything she gets.
It depends. If he forgot about it or doesn't really give a fuck.
You really think Kirk's going to forget?
No, he certainly will not forget.
He's not the sort of person that forgets about little things like that.
No, he doesn't. But I guess I mean forget about it in the sense of like, well, it annoyed me when I first heard about it, but who really cares, I guess. Put it in the back of his mind. Or if he doesn't think it's worth getting into, then maybe we won't address it. But I will say this. Liz Gonzales seems like someone that for whatever reason at Barstool, it's kind of okay to trash her. Like, Casey got in that fight with her. Other people like kind of make fun of her. It seems like if Kirk does go off on her, I don't know how big a deal that's going to be.
Yeah, she's insignificant.
Hey, Tim, we can't hear you.
Tim from Canton. Oh, we can't hear Tim from Canton.
It's a mime show from Canton.
Can he turn his volume up? Or I can almost barely hear him.
This will be good for Mike.
Hey, Mike, while he fixes his audio, how do you think the show will behave now that Kirk's friends with everyone?
It's going to be it's going to be no different. If there's, I'm trying to think of any. I don't know anyone he would go any softer on. I don't think there's anyone. If something comes up, I think maybe among the show, particularly me, there's a better understanding of why Barstool wasn't doing certain things or wasn't allowing certain things. Now I kind of get it more. So maybe that'll change a little bit where I won't be as harsh and like, well, why the fuck wouldn't they post it? Like, now I kind of understand. But as far as Kirk, I don't think you're going to change Kirk. I think if he sees something that, whoever, even Casey Smith or Big Cat or Kevin, like the people he genuinely likes, if someone writes something dumb or says something about the show or whatever, Kirk's going to go after him with the same ferocity that he does all the time. I don't think there's going to be a difference. It was fun to watch the bond between Kirk and Barstool grow, but I don't think it's going to change anything from Kirk's end.
Yeah, I was surprised that he always kind of dismissed Casey, in the show. And
dismissed her in what way?
It was like Casey, whatever.
I don't think so. I think Kirk's always had a bit of a soft spot for Casey Smith. He always
I think he likes
nice Hemingway certainly does.
There he is.
Jeez. Sorry about that.
Finally, some fucking life in this show. Jesus Christ.
I hear you called me a prima donna, you son of a bitch. I was driving with young kids in the car home from hockey trying to teach them a good lesson.
In the car.
This is always
Listen to me, you optically challenged fat bastard.
This is always Tim's like, my kids have hockey.
Got hockey every weekend. Hockey, basketball.
Tim, I blew my load some years ago. Look at me.
I want to know what's more important, your children or this podcast. Well, really, let's evaluate it.
That's a very valid question. Mike, I want to give you credit. You got the one show with the 3 thickest accents possible. Good job.
Yes. That was very strategic. I wanted to show how wide Kirk's reach is, that these are the Minifans.
Honored to be here with my Latin friend and my Aussie friend. And you too, Mike.
Welcome aboard.
Mike, you gotta get deeper into your bourbon tonight. What's going on? Come on.
No bourbon. I'm afraid after last week. Just a couple beers.
Come on.
3 beers by my side.
Always be you, my friend. Always be you.
That's I obviously got shit-faced last week if you didn't watch. I think that's fun once in a while. And then you know what? This week I thought about like taking an edible at the start of the show and seeing how that goes or something like that. But then I was like, you know what? You can't do that all the time.
Well, you go from an edible.
You got to save it for once in a while.
Then when you get into Madawaska, you get into that. What's that? Ayahuasca in Madawaska.
Yeah,
I think it should be necessary.
Are you going to be in Madawaska, Tim, or no? I forget.
Mike, take a guess where I'm going to be.
Where?
Freaking hockey.
Of course. This
freaking hockey, Mike.
I know.
Hockey.
But hey, listen, me, DEC, Menez, we got to be here when you guys are all dead and gone. We got to be here to keep the flame alive.
I understand the survivors, the designated survivors.
Hey, I have a question.
You go, Tim.
Just a real quick question, Mike. Any chance someone could put a GoPro? I got a helmet and a GoPro. If someone wants to take it, would love to have someone streaming so we could have kind of like a watching party. Me, Menez, I don't know, LK. I don't know if you're going. Anybody that's not going would love to have something streaming that we could sit and watch.
We should do that. And someone mentioned the idea of me wearing a GoPro in Miami so people could see what it's like to walk around with me. Maybe that's a good thing to do in Madawaska, where I just wear a GoPro the whole time. Not a bad idea. The only question is, I know a big thing with Kirk is like when you pay for that experience or you want to go to be part of that experience, you should have to be like, it should be for the people that are there.
Totally agree. Maybe we could do a subscription.
We'll talk. I'll mention it to the boys, but it's a good idea for sure. It's worth mentioning. But
can you wear it when you're with your mother?
Some things are meant for behind closed doors. I don't understand. Of course not. There's a whole thing with like streaming certain activities. You kind of have to. I don't know what it's. You certainly can't stream that type of stuff on YouTube. So I just don't know what it would be. What lengths I would have to go to get that sort of streaming up.
So, Mike,
the fact you're actually answering that is what makes this show great.
So, Mike,
what's up, buddy?
Mike, what are your expectations for Madawaska? What do you think is going to happen?
I think it's going to be pretty low key in the sense of like I don't think there's going to be a lot of disasters as far as we're not going to get lost. No one's going to die, anything like that. I think the real disaster.
Disagree?
Totally.
Well, we'll see.
I think, Mike, you're at least a 15% chance of dying.
If someone dies, it's going to be me.
You're at least a 15% chance. You yourself.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I'm going with intern Will. He offered me to give me a ride.
Be careful, my friend.
Suicide's a danger for you.
I started praying right now. Like I've been praying for the last 2 days.
Latino Kirk, I want to put this because Will is a nice kid and he does a good job with some stuff.
Bad breath.
I want to put this in like as nice terms as I can. The kid is a fucking moron. Like he's a completely useless asshole. So Godspeed to you. I hope you come out of it alive.
I hope so.
But I doubt you will. Something will go wrong because the kid is a fucking moron. Like just a completely useless moron. And I'm being as nice as I can.
I offered to drive, and he said, "Oh, you can crash in my room." I'm like, "Oh boy."
That's the kind of invite you get on the last night of your life, my friend.
So let's dive into that for real quick. So he's inviting Latino Kirk to his room. Who else? He invited somebody to go out night fishing.
There is someone else going. Like his name is Phil. I don't know.
No, there was someone else that we're all familiar with. He said, "Can we go out night fishing?" Oh, it was Ned Snark. Listen, whatever floats your boat, but just get to the point. If he wants to be with one of the Minifans, just ask. Doesn't have to keep beating around the bush.
So intern Will is driving up. If you don't, I don't want to dox you, Latino Kirk, but roughly where do you live?
I live near Foxborough, but we're gonna meet up like somewhere in like Mass Pike, Route 9.
So you're meeting in a neutral location. You're deep undercover, aren't you?
So here's what happened.
CIA? Are you CIA or?
So here what happened. I didn't buy the ticket, and I told him, "Hey, I wish I was going. I couldn't buy the ticket." And then he said, "Hey, there's someone selling a ticket. You should get it." So I got the ticket. He said, and then he goes and say, "Hey, I'll drive. I'm picking up someone near your house. You can come with me." I'm like, sure, let's go.
You called him dumb, Mike. Will has a plan, and he is about to execute it, for lack of a better word. He sucked Latino Kirk right in. Hey, buddy, I'll give you a ticket. By the way, breathe deep into this handkerchief. It might smell like ether, but don't worry about that.
Hey, whatever it takes to go up there, I'm excited
Well,
to
it's
go up
good.
there.
God bless you, my friend. I'll pray for you, but it's going to take a lot. Didn't he go the wrong way on 91, Mike? Driving you home?
He's a complete moron. Like the
Oh,
definition of a moron. And I'm not a particular guy. And this is said the fuck, but a nice guy. Like that, he's a great guy. Let me make that perfectly clear. A terrific guy. All right. What do we want to get into? Oh, Latino Kirk, you said you had questions for me.
I do. So I want to ask you about the chemistry between you, Steve, and Kirk in Miami.
Sure.
It seemed like after the show was over, everyone went their own directions. And whenever I go on a business trip with some colleagues, we hang out. We stay together, and it seemed like you guys went your own directions. Why was that? Was it because commitment, or just because you guys don't like each other after the show?
I think we all are all right with each other. I don't think there's anyone that hates each other. Certainly, of the three of us, I think it would be so. Steve has his stuff to do after the show, editing, getting the show up, social media.
He doesn't edit the show. Let's be clear. He just, puts it up to the cloud. But he doesn't.
I didn't
edit
say
the
he does
show.
it well. I didn't say he does it well.
Never let
edit
an
the show.
opportunity
It's an
go to waste,
unedited.
Menace.
No, I just wanted to correct the point.
I do enjoy having Menners on for that reason. I think, it gives me a little joy, I will say. So here's what I would do. Go back to my hotel room. I timestamp the show for Will. When he sends me clips, I'd upload a few so that I have him to tweet throughout the day. He did a pretty shitty job of doing that while I was down there, but that's a different story. And then me and Justin would hit the streets and try to film some stuff. And Kirk would kind of go, I don't know what he would do, go to lunch or go for whatever he would do during the day. And
hang out with the feral cats.
And then go do Barstool Radio. So we all kind of had different things to go do, but also I think naturally, at least me and Kirk, I don't know as much about Steve, but I think me and Kirk are kind of both not very personable. Hey, let's hang out. Let's go to this bar. Kirk doesn't drink at all. Mm-hmm. So he's not going to hey, let's go to this bar. Let's tip a few back with the boys, We went to dinner one night, but other than that, it's just not, the relationship we have is not hey, let's all go tip some beers back. But there's also no animosity. It's not like we all hate each other.
So, Mike, when you're in studio in Watertown, I know Kirk just walks in and you basically start the show. There's no pre-chat. Kirk's made that very clear. But what about after the show? Is there any sort of, good show? I'm sure it's not that nice, Kirk says.
Curious about that.
Yeah, not good show or anything. But yeah, if there's stuff to talk about,
he doesn't just get up and walk out.
Friday, was it Friday, Thursday or Friday, whenever it was. The show ends and I say, hey, who's the state that wants to hear you? Shit like that. Shit that comes up on the show we might talk about. Shit that is planned or whatever. It's not we don't sit there for 6 hours and have a powwow. But if there's stuff to discuss, we discuss it. But it's not a huge I don't really know how to describe it. It's not awkward to me at all, but it's also not this, loving embrace that we all have.
You mentioned that Steve's been great to you outside of the show, gives you rides. Has Kirk ever given you a ride?
No.
That's fantastic.
There are times where I'm waiting for my Uber and a nice car will pull up, and I in my mind I'm like,
maybe that's Kirk.
There's a 20% chance this is Kirk fucking with me. It has not been yet. But
don't you think he would rather buy like Howard did for Robin? Don't you think he'd rather buy you your own Mercedes and have someone drive it for you than have to actually give you a ride himself?
Absolutely.
And I do believe he would
pay for every Uber the rest of my life.
He's that generous and that introverted.
Yes, exactly. In fact, so if I didn't have if it came up that I didn't have a ride to Madawaska this weekend, if I was just I have no way of getting there. And me and Kirk are leaving the studio on Friday. I was I'm not going to be able to get up there. I don't know what I'm going to do. Kirk would say, well, I guess I'll see you Monday.
Yeah.
There would just be old Mikey would not be in Madawaska.
Well, here's 10 grand. Find your own way.
Yeah, right. He's he's been very generous to me, but also there's no, we're not hanging out ever.
Well, let's face it. That makes it much easier when he has to fire you.
Yeah,
that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. But also, I mean, in a way, I kind of like it that way because it's not like there's no, you kind of know where you stand with Kirk. It's like, this is my job. We're not buddies or anything. Like this is what I do. He's friendly to me, nice enough, but we're not best pals.
Did
Mike,
you? Yeah, go ahead, man. Sorry.
I'm just going to ask Mike if what it was like for you with there was a kind of frat house feeling to the show this week. People coming in and out every day. It was a great week of shows. Congratulations, and you were a big contributor. But what was it like when you sort of had Big Cat there, and it was clear him and Kirk just had this great sort of rapport. How was that for you?
I gotta say, I'm still in a position where the idea that I was just in the room with Kirk, KFC, Big Cat, or Kirk,
Casey.
Big Cat, Casey, that's still pretty cool for me. I do my best to contribute. In fact, some people said I talk too much. Like when Jared was in, some people said I was trying to pipe up too much. I'm still in a position where I just enjoy the idea. I'm able to be a part of it. I think as time goes on, I should be more, hey, this is the show that I'm on. I should kind of be the more dominating personality than Big Cat because this is the show I'm on. So fuck you, Big Cat.
No, he's low down. He's low down.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
He's a guy who's maybe the biggest personality at the company, a great guy, a guy who's been good to me. So I don't look at it like, well, who the fuck is this guy coming in here? You know what I mean? Maybe if Dave did that or someone I'm not even Dave, someone I had like real animosity for, then I would be like, who the fuck is this guy coming into the show that I'm on? But I actually really enjoy it when those guys are in.
No, but you know what? My opinion is like Big Cat, he elevates the show.
Yeah.
And
without a doubt.
He's
yeah.
Carrabba's
and
or
Kirk is very funny with him, and Big Cat gets the show and knows how to play along. Carrabba's knows how to play along. Even for all the shit that Kevin was given this week, he pretty much knows how to play along. Even Casey, I wouldn't say Casey was amazing on the show, but it was very obvious she gets it. Like if she was on when she was in Boston, if she was on with Kirk and Jerry, she would have been 10 times better than Trenny, I think, because she's on the joke. She gets it.
I think Latino Kirk hit the nail on the head. Big Cat seemed to elevate every show. I never even listened to the guy before. Absolutely loved hearing him on there, and the others just contributed. Although Walker was phenomenal. What a savant!
You thought so?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Really?
And by the way,
I think you're going a bit far.
Kirk? Why? I thought it was entertaining for that show, but why
I think you're going a bit far as well. To be honest, I thought Brandon Walker was very good. I think it took him some time to warm up, and then when I think they got into the nostalgia stuff, that's when he really
that was
hit
awesome.
his stride.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
it was on the. But yeah, I don't know that he was phenomenal. It was kind of like he was getting his footing. I think if you have him in again, then he's even better.
That's all.
What's
we all
that?
expected him to be a shithead, and he turned out to be not bad. That was why.
Exactly, and that was phenomenal. And
yeah.
not saying the guy should be on every day, but it was a great segment. But Mike, why does Kirk always say that Kevin's the biggest fan when clearly, hands down, Big Cat not only elevates the guy clearly loves. I listened to the podcast over and over. He loves the show. He interrupted you guys. He didn't interrupt. He came in. He loved being there. He loved talking with Kirk, fooling around with you guys. The guy, Big Cat, is hands down, I think, the biggest fan at Barstool of the show.
Can I tell you what a good comparison is? If you look at if you take their talent away completely, then I think what you have is a situation with me and MHB, where me and MHB were both fans of the show, as are Kevin and Dan. Mm-hmm. But I'm able to come to the show, play along, make some jokes. And MHB, who's doing very well right now, I think. I was happy to talk to him the other day. I think he's down at the Super Bowl. He seems to be doing good. But when MHB gets too involved in the world, he loses his fucking mind. And that's what you see with Kevin Clancy. When Clancy's too involved in the world,
bad analogy.
He spins out and he's threatening to murder people on the beach of Miami. He's just fucking losing it. So I think that's the difference, is that they're both fans of the show, but one is more able to play along and understand it a little bit. Does that make sense?
So, Mike, in your opinion, who was the biggest surprise this week?
Biggest surprise. You know, in a weird way, it was Kevin. Him not getting the joke. But I mean, I don't know. Casey was very good. I can't call Casey. Oh, I guess you know what? Brandon Walker would be the biggest surprise. The fact that Kirk would kind of shit on Brandon Walker. Not a lot. He would take subtle shots at him here and there. And the fact that Brandon Walker was able to get the joke, come in, and he gave me shit, which that kind of shows you he understands, even if maybe he doesn't fit 100%, but he gets it, and maybe he gets that he doesn't fit 100%. So I would say Brandon Walker's probably the biggest surprise if I had to choose. I guess that Willie Colon was willing to talk to Kirk.
No. I've got something to add to this.
As we said in the first hour, I don't know how long that's going to last. What do you think?
Willie Colon,
something
came out on Barstool Radio where Kirk got Dave to admit on air that he'd basically offered Kirk the morning show when he hired him. So I don't know, it was Monday or Tuesday. I think that Monday. Kirk got Dave to say it on air. So I think Willie Colon probably would have got back to him and he realized I better pull my fucking head in because Kirk actually wasn't joking and he was serious.
Oh, so. You think that? You think he heard the first day and he was like, all right, I got to give this guy some credit?
Absolutely. Well, Portnoy basically admitted he offered Kirk the morning show when he hired him. So I think that
was maybe the funniest thing of that first day, Monday in Miami, when Kirk was talking to him about that, and Dave kind of even had to laugh and like, I mean, yeah, I did, but
exactly. And I think Cologne just thought Kirk was shit stirring.
Dave was kind of saying like, it doesn't mean I would have fired Willie, but it's like, yeah, of course you wouldn't have fired him, but that wasn't the argument. You would rather, and anyone with a fucking brain would rather Kirk Mahan doing morning radio for whatever product they put out than Willie Colon. It's just obvious.
The new KNC show.
And to be honest, Willie Colon shouldn't be insulted by that.
But if anything, Kirk showed this week that he can do anything, right? He can talk about sports. He can interact with other people. He can do his own podcast.
He can be happy.
Keep the quality high.
Well, you know what? You made a good point, Latino Kirk, because it's weird that I have to call you that every time, but I don't know your actual name.
What and I can't say, Mike, Tim's got a machine gun on screen. I know you're blind, you can't see. He's literally cleaning a firearm on screen.
I can't tell if it's loaded or not.
Oh my God.
Why do you literally
he's getting ready for Madawaska. He's not going.
I'm multitasking, that's all.
Jesus Christ.
I could have used that in the first hour.
In Australia, we don't allow guns. We're a civilized country.
Yeah, a bunch of wankers. What a bunch of pussies you guys are.
I could have used that when Travis was telling me to get glasses or contacts.
It's fake, by the way. It's just an airsoft gun.
Yeah, right.
That's
totally fake.
Okay.
What were we talking about? Oh, that's
strange. Sorry, Mike.
That's my big takeaway from Kirk was that Kirk could do a Barstool type like a podcast more suited for Barstool if he wanted to. Like if you just had him on KFC radio to talk about would you rather I was going to say suck your dad's dick or fuck your mom, but I realize where that'll get me.
But you did say it.
You know what I mean?
Why did you think of that?
Someone catch that.
Exactly.
Please.
I know. I understand. Go ahead.
I'll be downloading that. Thank you. Timestamp 1:37.
You got to listen long enough. But I guess what I'm saying is Kirk could be on KFC radio and do Answer the Internet or that type of shit and have a good time and be entertaining. Like that's kind of the brilliance of him is he does the show he wants to do, but you can also bring him into whatever environment and he's going to mold to that. And that's what I'm most impressed by. Like
he's a fucking genius. That's why.
Right. Exactly. There's a million shows on Barstool that you could bring me in and I'm just awkward and uncomfortable, but
that's your bit.
Okay. I think I'm good on the Kirk Minahan show because that's where I kind of fit, but Kirk, you can kind of fit in anywhere.
Mike, along those lines, do you listening to Casey's comments yesterday about how to have a podcast? It was spot on with what Kirk has been saying about the way they should broadcast baseball games, the way they should have podcasts, just talk, right? Like, and do you think she got that from Kirk, or do you think that that's her style. I even never listened to her podcast, so I don't know.
I would say I don't know that she got it from Kirk. I think Casey's someone that I didn't know they would curse on that NBC show. I didn't know anything about Casey before she was at Barstool. To be honest, I thought that she was just another pretty blonde that they put on TV to host while other people talk. That's what I thought when she first got that NBC Boston show. And then when she went to Barstool, I was like, oh, she's funny, has a personality. Yeah. I'm not a college football guy, so I don't listen to a lot of her stuff. But like on CCK, she's funny and open and personable. On the show, she was good.
But she's got the recipe, like Kirk always says. These radio's dying, if not dead, because they're broadcasting to people as opposed to conversing with them.
I think Casey was almost the best example when we brought that up on Friday and talked about the falling of Entercom and the rising of Barstool, where, it's not even that 5-10 years ago, you would have gone to work for Entercom over Barstool if you're Casey Smith, because they'll give you exposure. But what Barstool said is, oh no, we'll take someone like Casey Smith and make her a personality. Whereas Entercom said, oh, you're an attractive girl that talks football. We'll make you do what Erin Andrews does and what every other female sideline reporter does. That's how NBC sees shit. That's how Entercom sees shit. The good thing about Barstool, for all the shit we give them, is they kind of let you do what you want. As much as we bitch on the show about certain blog posts not getting up, on the podcast, there's never been anything edited out by Barstool.
And to hear her say she wouldn't even go to TV is amazing. Amazing that she said, I would never go back at this point. That tells you the way that media is going. And you're right, Intercom and these TV stations or the program, they don't get it. They just don't get it. It's not what people want.
Well, there wasn't a... I meant to throw this in when we were discussing it, but it seemed almost like by the time we got to this point of the conversation, it seemed like small potatoes. But when I was at Entercom, I was doing a podcast for free at Entercom, and every week someone would listen to the entire thing, delete it, edit certain things out, and repost it. And this was every week for a guy that wasn't getting paid. That was talking about media. Like, I wasn't talking about that controversial stuff. I was talking about Kirk was the most controversial thing I touched on. And every week, some asshole I'd listen to it, delete it, re-edit it, repost it. And that type of thing you have at Entercom, whereas at Barstool, it's, hey, let it fly. Maybe don't put it in print. But if you let it fly on air and it gets us in trouble, then we'll talk about it. And Dave Portnoy will come on your show and berate you if he thinks you're an asshole, or have you on his show and berate you. But there's not this thing of let's silence people and let's micromanage every little fucking thing. And every person there has to justify their job. And it's this, you know what? Maybe Barstool will become that someday. But right now, they let you do what you want, more or less.
You're going to get a lot of shit for your audio on Monday. Just be ready for that, Mike.
Yeah, you're chopping in and out.
Well, what are you going to do?
Do you think
making Justin look very good? Justin's already.
I try. I want to make Justin. Without Justin, this show is shit, and I've always said that.
Hey, I got to give Justin credit, not for the boredom of his celebrities. The fact that he could name 150 people in an hour, that's impressive. I couldn't do that if you gave me a list to read from.
Tim, it's just really not that impressive.
No, just to say 150 names off the top of his head shows you where his mind is at.
I was in the room. It was not that impressive.
I watched it. Hey, Mike, are you guys going to get on that guy who owns Barstool.com? That sounds like a crazy story. What's his name? Zonkers or something? Years. Yeah.
Zonker, yeah. So when I was an intern, that was a conversation I remember being had where a lot of people would email... in fact, that fucking idiot, intern Will, I asked him for the login, and he gave me Barstool instead of Barstool Sports. So a lot of people do that, where you just type barstool.com or whatever.
Yeah.
And it became a thing where let's just buy the website from them. And also, they had talked about dropping sports from their name entirely because it's not a sports website per se.
And he won't give it up. This guy won't give it up.
This guy, with Kirk-like passion and hatred in his heart, says, "Fuck you, Portnoy. There's no amount of money you can make that will get me to sell this." And that's a guy I gotta respect.
And that's why Kirk has to be the one to interview this guy, because he will get into why, when, where, who. He'll get us to understand why this guy won't give it up, as opposed to if he goes on a show like Barstool Sports with Portnoy. Portnoy's just going to do the typical semantic scream at him. Why won't you give it up? I'll give you money. Blah blah blah. Kirk will actually dive into it and make it something that it may not. Well, it will be something.
Kirk might actually convince this guy to raise his price. Like by the end of Kirk talking to the guy, there might be no chance that he ever sells.
He might get him to sell it to Kirk, and then Kirk can sell it to Dave.
It would be great if Barstool.com just brought up the Kirk Minahan show, iTunes, or whatever the fuck whatever Kirk used it for.
Do you think you'll find the rat from Barstool? And could it have been Dave Cullinane? Could Robinson have just flicked Dave a little message? We're good to go.
I don't think Steve was even in that conference.
Yeah. He said
he was. Do we know? He could have been incognito in some Russian spy's outfit.
That's why he didn't like Miami, by the way. He was melting like a popsicle. He's used to that Siberian weather.
That's right. He's used to Madawaska type.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that the rat will be found. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, Kirk did come up with a good theory that it could be Tommy Smokes. That's a good theory. People should start looking at that. And then I think Trista Crick was also a good theory. Those are two. Although she follows me on Twitter now, so don't worry, it's fine.
I heard it was Kelly Martin, and that she deflected and said it was Dave Cullinane.
Could be possible as well, but I think it might be someone outside of Barstool. Don't worry, Barstool has the motivation to do that. Like, it doesn't make Barstool. It makes Barstool look good. So no one had the motivation to be a rat in that situation.
Guys, let's face it. It could have been Portnoy. He's so drug-addled and out of his mind to begin with. He might have just thrown it out there to himself.
I think that'd be great if he did it and forgot about it.
Right. So, Mike, did you have a question about my investigation I heard while I was trying to be safe and driving some youngsters home from hockey this evening?
I shut up about your kids.
Here's the thing, Tim. You're a guy. You mentioned you have kids every 5 minutes.
I got 4 kids. That's right.
You know, you're
done.
late to Mike and Minifans.
It's small, but it's potent. But it's bigger than Mike's, by the way.
But you take a break from your family.
How do you know that?
Because Mike said it last week. It's packing 5 inches.
I was kidding.
It's only not long before people come and whip out
38, they called him in high school.
Someone's going to whip out their cock soon.
Steve's going to jump in and whip it up.
No, the quote on Discord was 5 inches, but it's thick. But that's from 30 Rock. So. I would say it's more like 5.5, if I'm being brutally honest. But no.
All the way to the base, Mike.
Tim Ken did a good investigation. What did it take to bring down a guy like Kirk Minahan? While we were in Miami having fun, you were ruining the reputation of a great man.
It didn't take much, I'll tell you that.
Really?
I had I had an inside source who provided me the location. And I also got the blessing of Mrs. Tim from Canton to just do whatever it is you're doing, because she doesn't ask. And made my way up to Chelmsford, and as luck would have it, I happened to bump into an employee who was a witness to the whole incident.
Well, thank God. And I think you did a tremendous job breaking it down. Are we to believe that Kirk is insane after this investigation? Did I not sit in a room with Harry Minahan? What the hell has happened?
Could have been a prop. None of us have seen him. We've only heard the voice. Okay. Steve's a good producer. Maybe he provided some sound changing software.
Would disagree, but all right.
But I will say, so that kid, the kid that I interviewed, man, I had to chop that up. He had never heard of Kirk. He called him Kurt. Never heard of the show, but I gave him probably 3
Oh, really?
things.
A little behind the scenes here.
Oh, I probably gave him 3 things to go with. That kid was off to the races. He had me cracking up. All I had to say was,
then you know, he did a great job, because I thought he was totally on it. It seemed like he was
phenomenal. Yeah.
I didn't realize he didn't know the show. That's very funny.
Never heard of the show, never heard of Kirk, never heard of you guys. And he was all for it. He sat down with me and he just made it up out of whole cloth. I don't know where his mind was at, but he was fantastic. I got his number in case you guys wanted to make something out of it and call him. But I just mentioned, like I said, 3 or 4 names or instances, and he just started. I had to chop it up. There was too much.
Well, all right, boys. Anything we want to get to before we go to the chat and get out of here? Any questions you guys had for me or anything?
I've got a
topics
couple.
you wanted to get into? Please.
Kirk, you go. Latino Kirk, you're muted.
Your mic's not working, brother.
Oh, do we lose Latino Kirk? Is that why I haven't been hearing him?
No, he's speaking another language. That's all.
That's very offensive.
Okay, while Latino's sorting out his mic, so on the Minifan show, I mentioned a few things. I talked about my experiences with Kelleher. He's, talking about profits around the show. So I think it's sort of really fleshed out what Kelleher's motives are. And also, I think DEC should be reinstated as president. I think that it's gone too long. I think he should be made president again of the Minifans.
I don't disagree. DEC is a very presidential figure. I wouldn't have any problem with that. It's just kind of a question of then do people start saying, well, what is this? Do we even really take this serious? Everyone takes it very seriously right now. But now if we're taking people out and putting them back in, then it's a whole mess. That's what I worry about. But what's this Kelleher thing? You said you understand his motives now?
Well, I just, I went through it on the Minifan show. You probably didn't listen, Mike, because you're too busy.
I have not heard yet.
Wandering around aimlessly. But you couldn't put earphones in. You should. I had to listen to all your shit before I came on today. No, seriously. I just said we had some talks about a rival Minifan show when MHB and DEC went underground for a couple of months. And in that conversation, to cut a long story short, Kelleher said to me, if there's any profits, we can split them. And I was thinking to myself, what sort of profits do you think a fan show of a podcast that barely makes money is going to make? And why are you even thinking like this? So it sort of made me think that although I think Kelleher never did anything he never did anything to me or ask for money, maybe he does have profit as some motive, which I think is very misplaced. If you're a fan, you do it because you love it, not to make money.
What show did you say barely makes money? The Minifan show?
No, the Kirk Minahan show.
Oh, Kirk Minahan show I think does very well. I think you're misguided there.
Well, how many ads are there per show? Unless you got some other side hustle going on that I don't know about.
There's a weird thing that I don't understand. That would be Barstool's fault, but yeah, they do. I guess you'd have to ask Steve more about that. But I think everything does pretty well.
It's going to be the most successful podcast on the planet. But I just think at the moment to think you're going to start a second Minifan show and make any money is just foolish.
Fair. But I am surprised the Minifan show itself doesn't have more advertisers. They have one now, I guess. Is that what I heard?
Yep, and deserves more. It's a great podcast.
No, like there are people who reach out to me and say, "Hey, I'll throw you this for this kind of an ad." So I'm surprised the Minifan show hasn't had more because I think numbers wise they do better. Like this is a few thousand core viewers, whatever. Minifan show does better than that. So I feel like people should be reaching out to them as well.
But it's there's only so much time in the day, and DC's got a real job and a family, and it takes that.
Oh, sure. I'm not even saying. Right? I'm not saying he should be out there selling. I'm surprised people haven't reached out to him and said, "Hey, let me throw you a few bucks."
Well, you bring up a good point. I think because I was talking to somebody that does advertising and marketing for a company, and they're like, "Yeah, we stick with radio." I think people don't know that podcasts are where they should be going. I think that's
changing
why
every day.
Yeah, right.
Well, here's the thing: that Barstool sale.
Yeah,
I believe will change a lot. I think that shows that will definitely show people. Well, times are changing.
Well, it puts them back in the conversation.
If that's a $500 million company and they do podcasts and fucking pizza reviews, then there's something to look at there that things are changing. Radio is not the way to go anymore.
Right, but I get what you're saying about DEC should have more advertisers for that show, and I agree with that. But the problem is the people who would pay for it, the people who are making those decisions, they're not the ones that are paying attention to what the new media is. They still think media is a deadbeat Saturday afternoon show on your old employer's station, which nobody listens to. As opposed to,
I gotta give Bill from Milton's a lot of credit with that, where he's a guy who he advertised on radio a long time. It kind of almost essentially a staple of sports radio where Milton's at. Yep. And he kind of realized, and he saw the talent with Kirk, and he realized and said, well, why would we keep advertising on WEI when Kirk essentially is taking all their listeners, and podcasts are becoming huge, and you can go to now around the country, people can go to miltons.com. It's not exclusive to Boston. You can advertise to people all over the place.
And it's not a one-time hit. It's dedicated fans who will continually, every week I see people saying, I went to Milton's, I went to Milton's, I went to Milton's.
Oh, yeah.
I had an idea in the Minifan show as the ultimate revenge on Portnoy. We get 1,200 Stella shirts made. So everyone in the Wilbur has a Stella shirt on. I mean, the sales gone
just on your seat as you.
Sales. How about this?
Gone through.
Menace, maybe we take it a step further and actually do something that Portnoy did, which was brilliant, which started the first day of Kirk's show. We have, like he did for the Bruins game, and we have those hankies or towels with Stella on it, and we wave them at the Wilbur, just like he did it. That turned into the whole court case with Curtatone and Barstool. It's a good idea. I like that.
I love it. If someone can get it done, I am a fan of that idea. I can't fully endorse it because I'm an employee of the company, but wink, wink.
Get it done. Can you hear me now?
Oh, Latino Kirk.
You're back.
Latino Kirk, any final questions for me before we get out of here?
Yeah, actually, I have an observation, a question. So let me start by saying that Harry was awesome last week.
I disagree. I think he should be benched.
No,
Never again.
Yeah. How awesome was he?
I love Menace. He's
biggest fan, non-fan. Menace.
Now, how awesome was Harry putting Kirk on his place?
Yes.
Like he's the boss. Right,
I think it's about time. I think it's about time someone came in. Obviously, I'm afraid to do it, so I'm glad Harry had the balls.
B- and dope plus.
Oh, come on!
Right?
So my question,
great.
So my question is, what do you guys think about going once a month to New York for 2 or 3 days and just interacting with Barstool people?
I think Kirk would kind of hate that. I wouldn't love it, but it might be good for the show. But if Kirk's doing it begrudgingly, I don't know if it would be worth it. You know what I mean? Like if he hates doing it, I don't know that it would be worth the minor promotion that happens, or Big Cat retweeting the show or whatever. I don't know that would be worth it. I get what you're saying. I get the idea because, when we were in New York and then we were in Miami, like those are good shows. When Big Cat and KFC come in, or Big Cat and Casey, or even Brendan Walker and Jared, whatever. Those are good shows. So I get the instinct to want to do that. I just don't know how much it adds when you also get, when it's just the three of us, we have a show. Like, I think the last 3 weeks have been tremendous. You had the Barstool week, but you forget the 2 weeks before that, we did a show in a fucking guy's house. You had this stuff with Steve. You had this stuff with me at MGM. There was a bunch of stuff going on the last 3 weeks in general. And I think it's only going to get crazier as the next couple months go on with all the things that are planned.
Steve is a breaking point.
You think so?
I have a final question for you, Mike. It might be tough to answer because the Barstool folks, they seem to be genuine when they're on air. But is there anybody that is not the same person off air that's on air? Basically, and it doesn't have to be who's a dink, but is there someone who's a really good person, but they come off as you might not realize it? And is there someone that seems like they're playing up a personality, but off air they're really kind of a dank? It seems like they're all pretty genuine, though.
My experience, very limited with them, is that they're all pretty genuine. Kevin is much nicer to me off air than on. I would say that.
Interesting.
Kind
of like Steve.
Anytime, yeah, right. Anytime I've had a question or message to Kevin, he responds to me. He's very courteous and everything. And then on the air, he calls me a buffoon and all that type of shit. So Kevin's always been good to me. I can't think of anyone who's the other way. who's a nice guy on air and a complete dick off air. I can't think of anyone.
Yeah, Portnoy is your biggest enemy there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I guess Portnoy would be my biggest enemy. But honestly, what you see is what you get with Portnoy. He's a dick off the air. He's more or less a dick on the air. I should have said it the other way around, but he's a dick either way.
How does it feel?
Isolate that.
Yeah, right.
How's it feel knowing that a guy who just became uber rich with $100 million still is obsessed with you and that you're in his head?
Awesome.
I am in his head, and that does feel good. And that's why I was able to get through on Monday in Miami. I was fucking miserable. And by Friday, I felt a lot better because I kind of started thinking about the reality of it. And, I think if I'm a villain to Dave Portnoy, who's worth $100 million, I think in reality, that's a good thing. I think the idea that he thinks I'm capable of bringing down the company is a funny angle. So I'm all right with it, I guess, overall. Anything else for me, boys, before we get out of here? This has been a real dud of a show. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
I think it's been very good, but I want to thank all the Minifans who watched the Aussie special that we released.
You guys did a great job.
We were thrilled the way it was received.
Very good. Yep.
We thought we'd get hammered, so we're really glad that a lot of you watched it, and thanks for all the messages.
So you only need 247 more fans, and we can have.
Actually, no. A few more people have been in touch. Latino Kirk even mentioned he was going to come to Sydney. So,
I'll go to Sydney, but don't you need 250?
Yeah, we do. So we've got about 12 now. So just 238 to go. So
we're working our way up.
Isn't there another Aussie fan that's kind of pissed, Mike, that you won't invite him on?
Yes, Aussie Minifan wants to come on this show.
He's more than welcome. I'm sorry.
For some reason, but he does work the odd Sunday our time, so that's why I think he hasn't been on yet. But
okay. Well, he's more than welcome. Tell him to DM me, but he's more than welcome. Yeah. Are you guys going to do that show again?
Yes, we are. Not any time like in the near future, but I've got my own podcast studio now, so we're going to do something in a little while.
So it's a once in a while type. It's not going to be every week, but once in a while.
Oh, certainly not. We're sort of thinking every couple of months. I mean, look, this is a campaign to bring the show down under, and we're building towards Minicon Sydney 2025. So we've got a huge project.
Glad you said that. What's the deal? People want to do a Minicon before the Wilbur. Is that?
Yes, the DC was talking on his podcast.
What's that going to entail? Is it just a get together, or is it a real organized thing?
We all line up and suck Kirk's cock for a while.
All right.
That's basically what it is. Metaphorically, that's what we're doing.
I'm offended by that. I don't stand in line for anybody.
Yeah.
No, it's just going to be a Kirk festival. Like, when you go to those sad Star Trek festivals where all these weirdos running around, that's what we're all going to be like.
Does that mean
Kirk? And then Kirk's going to walk in and like thousands of people will run after him and he'll be like ushered into a side room. It's Minicon. By the time it makes it to Sydney, this is going to be one of the premier events on the Sydney calendar. So Minicon 2025, with the Opera House in the backdrop, it's going to be special.
All right, I like it.
Will there be any koala fucking? Or getting fucked by a koala?
Most of them burnt. Millions of koalas just burnt to death in the fires. I find this very, very insulting.
So Steve's wish isn't going to come true.
Yeah, that fuckhead can go fuck himself. Honestly, come down under and I'll feed him to the fucking crocodiles.
There you go. But Mike, I think you were talking about the Boston Minicon.
Yes. Yeah, so I guess I've heard people are trying. I think Patrick from the Discord is trying to organize before the Wilbur show. They want to do some kind of Minicon. Tim, do you know? Is that going to be like an organized thing, or is it just sort of a meet up at a bar or something?
I don't know much about it. I know that there is absolutely talk about doing it, and people are already working to get something done. Chris from Wakefield is the guy's DEC's sidekick at times. Man, he is taking the reins and trying to get this done. However, it works best.
The only thing I saw the time they were talking about ending at like 3 p.m. I would say so. The Wilbur show starts at 7.
7. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's not fucking exhaust ourselves and go all day here.
I don't know what
the Wilbur show is the important thing that day.
Yeah. And let's face it, you could call it Minicon, you could call it the Wilbur Show. It's going to be a drunk fest, but I don't know what it would look like. I just know there is absolutely a push on to get it done. I don't know where it's going to be. That's my backyard. I mean, I've been going to I lived in the city for years. I've been going to that area. I will just tell you that it's known for having hookers. Don't ask me how I know that. I just happen to know. Tremont Street is well known in the South End for ladies of the evening.
All
but
right.
So was it hockey practice you were really at just then, Tim?
I was.
Want to come clean?
All I'm saying
Fucking
is my
sicko.
friends used to tell me. That's all. But it might be a tough area to get something before the show in order to do like I think the idea is let's get something close to and right before the show. But the problem, Mike, the problem is downtown Boston's pricey. It's just like being in downtown Sydney.
It's definitely pricey. There's a couple good bars down there that have some.
But how big could it be?
Exactly, that's the problem.
There will be something. I believe in Highlander they called it the Gathering.
Excellent.
I do think there will be something.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Anything else before we get out of here, boys? A strange show. I bet much better second half, so you guys should feel proud about that. But a bizarre Mike and the Minifans. But anything else before we get out of here?
Oh, thanks for having us. Glad you're alive. And
well, there's some things to actually be happy about. That's not one of them.
Yeah, waiting for Monday at 11 a.m.
Yeah, fantastic week
good.
in Miami. Fantastic
great
week
job.
in Miami. So much good content. Kirk was on fire. Mike survived. Steve lied the whole time as per usual. So I think it was a really great week. I cannot wait till you guys are back in Boston.
My last comment is,
again.
Menace, my last comment is, I dare you to say something good or nice about Steve.
Go ahead.
Shit.
The floor is yours.
He can adequately upload files to a cloud and to be ready for listening. So,
he's coming for you, brother.
Nice to end on a positive note. Thank you very much, boys. We'll talk to you next week on Mike and the Minifans, and of course, Monday back on the Kirk Minahan Show.
Thank you.
See you, boys.
Thank you.
Bye, boys. See you later.